The following podcast is being brought to you by the Defy Life Podcast Network.
Maybe we can still heal you. Why? So you could just lock me up? No. Just bury me in the ocean with my ancestors that jumped from the ships. Because they knew death was better than bondage.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it. I didn't see the light until I was already a man. By then it was nothing to me but blinding. The shadows betray you because they belong to me.
In the hell do you think you are?
Okay, it's not working out. I'm gonna need the suit back.
For how long?
Forever. Yeah, that's
No, please,
Let's have it.
You don't understand. This is all I have. I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it, okay?
So Oz, this feels a little bit like deja vu. This week, which should have been last week, which I will take 100% blame for. This week we are going to have another open mic. And joining us will be the lovely and talented and fantastic duo of JVD and Evan the Great from The Villain's Demand and the Crossover Collision podcast. Oz, are you excited about this since we've already kind of done it once before?
I personally am more excited this time than I was last time. So, I apologize to Evan, JBD. It's a rare occasion when Scott takes responsibility for anything. So I'm excited, and just remember this time, regular Scott, hit the record button, and we're good. We're good.
Before we get to our guest, just so everyone is clear, we did not put out a show last week, and that is because. Long story short, I fumbled the ball. I didn't have the show saved, and we had a great conversation with JVD and Evan, and they were
it wasn't great. It wasn't great. It was amazing. It was like two like star-crossed souls had blended times two, making four souls come together. It was like Voltron. It was like G-Force. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was like Voltron walking down the hill to go have sex with a bunch of cows. So let's get to our guest.
I don't know what you're talking about. These
we
cows.
have JVD and we have Evan the Great from The Villain's Demand and the Crossover Collision podcast. Welcome to Take a Knee, fellas.
Well, hey, fellas, welcome again. Welcome again to Take a Knee.
Shame. Why you gotta do that to us, man?
Oh, man. He was so desperate to have you guys back on again. He just, fumble the ball doesn't even nearly come close to what he did, but I'm happy to have you guys back.
I'm like Cody Rhodes. Jay puts in the work, and then Scott just deletes it all.
Yeah.
Oz has no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, you mean Cody Rhodes? You mean Dusty Rhodes' son? Oh, okay, got you. Cool.
Got you, bro. You know who his dad is. Who does he wrestle for?
Well, I believe he was going to be with the big boys, but he decided to go his own way. And with the I won't get it right, but with the new startup company, and they're making their moves and they're doing their things. They had some mess ups, like the one time when Cody had to explain while this one amateur was like hitting the air when he was like fake punching somebody. But other than that, man, they're trying to make some ground and stuff.
No, it's not really, but that's at least I know you know they're in the same realm, but that wasn't really related. But that's okay.
Gotcha.
He said more than what I said.
He did.
He had all true facts. All true facts.
Right. Now, hey, gentlemen, expect the unexpected. I'm revved up, man. I'm revved up.
So, well, thank you guys for coming back on. I am looking forward to having another great conversation. So, sorry. Just so you know, we pretty much recasted the entire MCU with the same actors. And I'm pretty sure Evan the Great was the one who came up with a great idea to have Jeremy Renner be Iron Man and his sidekick have nice Don Cheadle. We'd have Iron Man and Don Cheadle be, the lead characters of the Marvel Universe.
Easily $2 billion. Easily.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, that's Jim. It was a great episode. Sorry you missed that one. Maybe I'll find it in the Lost Files.
And we did so good they got that file and they deleted it.
No, they did so good that they got that file and they're like, maybe we should wait about 10 years and try this again.
There you go.
What you don't know is Regular Scott didn't delete it. He put it in a time capsule.
So we're waiting for like 3020 to open it up.
3020.
No, well, actually, to tell you the truth there, JVD, when the lizard people or the rat people surface, they'll be like, what was this episode? What is a podcast? But okay, cool. Surely this is how the great humans communicated through their ages.
Well, you're talking about lizard people and whatnot. Today's episode, it was actually, I have to give the credit to JVD. We were talking back and forth on Twitter and just kind of brainstorming, throwing ideas around. And Evan was also a part of that. Oz was not, but
I was there in spirit.
No, he wasn't. So JVD came up with the idea of we're going to come up with 5 solo titles for DC and Marvel that we would want to kind of relaunch each brand with comics-wise. And 2 team-ups. So it could be any type of team-ups. It could be like a Heroes for Hire and an Avengers, or it could be like a Birds of Prey and a Fantastic Four, something like that. And then one kind of Elseworld story. So, this, I'm really looking forward to this, especially with 2, obviously we have the comic connoisseur, my co-host, but we have 2 comic aficionados, I would say, 2 people who know the comic genre very well. So I'm very excited about this, and this should be very exciting. So, yeah. Do you guys have any other thoughts that you wanted to bring up about the Lost episode? Before we move on and it moves out of existence forever.
Much like how you always carry the show, Mr. Scott, and Oz piggybacks, he piggybacked like a mofo last week.
No, dude, I thought I brought up some really amazing points personally, but that's just me. So
no, you did, but a lot of it was like, yeah. I took that guy too.
Well, I mean, I will say, like, great minds think alike.
Does that count as a shot square? I would throw a shot square.
Well, no, it kind of is. Like great minds think alike, and I think me and Evan had some great ideas together, like that. I would piggyback, and like mediocre minds, like you and Regular Scott, we're thinking alike too. So it's fine. It's okay.
Hey, look, don't be trying to bring Evan under your side. Don't be trying to draw battle lines and bring Evan to your team.
Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, JVD and Regular Scott, you heard what I just said. Awesome. Okay, that's cool.
Touche. Well, look, before we get too deep into things, allow me to set the table. This is Take a Knee for Marvel vs. DC. I am your host, Regular Scott. I am here with my co-host, the comic connoisseur, formerly known as Kraven the Hunter, the mighty Ozzy Killmonger. Oz, what's going on?
What is up, good people? How are you?
And we have from the crossover collision, the Villains Demands great duo, JVD and Evan the Great. Welcome to Take a Knee again. Plug away anything you want and your latest episode.
I'll start off, I guess. Hey, I'm Evan the Great. You can follow me on Twitter on Evan the Great TVD, where I interact about half the time. JVD's most of the time, and Oz is none of the time. So, no, but we really enjoy being on here, guys. If y'all haven't had a chance to listen to us when we get together, which there's like 4 hours of footage is no longer available, or I guess audio.
Shots fired.
We're going to release the Snyder cut. But anyway, if y'all guys are in for a show tonight, we should have a good one to give to y'all. Yeah, I'll pass it over to JVD.
I'm JVD. Like Evan said, I'm on Twitter all the time. He's on Twitter half the time. So you add it together, we're on Twitter 1.5 times of the time. Here we run a podcast over the Villains Band called Crossover Collision, which obviously Scott is a big fan of. We appreciate his support. I do tag Oz in all of the stuff. No support.
I gave a couple hearts.
I mean, he is like the Switzerland of the duo for taking E versus Marvel.
Stay neutral.
Takes a stand. Does not do anything, but wants everything. This past Friday, we had released Taskmaster versus Beast Boy. Usually that we share it on were very hush-hush and no one commented. So it got me curious what people were thinking, because usually we'll catch a lot of traction when I'll post some matchups on in certain places, but nothing. So I don't know if everybody was just scared to say what they wanted to say, or they thought, wow, that's stupid. But I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was one of me and Mr. Great's more intriguing matchups that we've had this year.
So I haven't had a chance to listen to that one, and I am
Beast Boy versus Deathstroke, huh?
Taskmaster.
Sorry, Beast Boy versus Taskmaster.
I haven't had a chance to listen to this one yet. Like you said, I'm a regular listener. I'm very intrigued to how, actually a question I kind of have to ask. Well, I don't know. I don't want to give away a spoiler, so I don't know if this is a spoiler or not. So if it is, that's fine. You don't have to answer it. But Taskmaster reads his opponents. If Beast Boy goes into an animal-like pose and tries to attack like that, does Taskmaster read that? Like, does he kind of respond with that same type of technique? Like, if Beast Boy goes into a gorilla form.
But he doesn't read his opponents. That's not his powers. He mimics.
Well, that's what I mean, though. That's what I mean. I just used the wrong word. Sorry.
Well, no. He kind of does read their.
Thank you.
Them in a degree. Yeah, he does. If you'll read the 2000 miniseries for Taskmaster, he actually does. He reads a card player because he's trying to figure out how this guy keeps cheating this casino, and they call it Taskmaster. And he's reading the guy and finds out how he does his card trick in 3 minutes after it took the guy like 2 years to master it. So,
right, which again, I will say, goes to him and not a mutant ability, but he mimics. If you go to I like the Taskmaster a lot, but he had a fight with Captain America pretty recently, and Steve Rogers just broke down his whole thing about like. This guy, he's an amazing fighter. He'll get you, but all he knows is what he's like seen from you. You know what I mean? So I think for Beast Boy, it's going to be really hard because, as he said, like he could look at the Incredible Hulk doing one of his Hulk smash punches, but he doesn't have the power of the Hulk, so he can't do it. He can mimic the exact punch. But he can't do it for Beast Boy. He could see him turn into a dinosaur and be like, oh, that's a T-Rex chomping, but he can't do anything about that, That's just my little take on him. That's a good matchup, though.
Yeah, it's interesting, and there's some points between me and Mr. Great that are brought up that I don't think a lot of people would think about. So I think on paper, when people think about it, they're like, well, how are you going to beat Beast Boy? A lot of people see Taskmaster as Deathstroke. And to me, he's not really Deathstroke. They're two completely different characters. I think it's just the fact that people see, they're both assassins, they're both mercenaries, and they're both capable of taking on groups of people by themselves. But to me, they're two totally different characters. I should say, what they're hired for is about the only thing they have in common.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also turns into the Taskmaster. Also, he's also been known to be what his name is. He teaches people too.
Yeah. That he does more of that than he probably does anything else. Huh?
I know. Yeah, and I mean, if you really break them down, think about it. If you were a government agency, whatever side you're on, good, bad, DC, Marvel, if you had a person like Taskmaster, you would want him. You get him under your wing, and he knows how every superhero works and how they act and stuff. Yeah, he would be he's a great like teacher of assassins in a way.
Okay. Yeah. So again, that's the type of matchup you'll get with their show. Definitely go check them out. They put out a really good show. They definitely put the work in. They put the time in. It's definitely worth a listen. I promise you will learn something every time you listen to them. You can also find us on Twitter at knee4marvelvsdc. That's the number 4. You can also email us at knee4marvelvsdc@godefylife.com. You can find us at defylifepods.com. You can also check out our gear at defylifegear.com. Get a shirt. Support the podcast. Any support that you give helps us do other things, helps us kind of branch out and be able to get great guests like them, because they wouldn't be interested in us if you guys didn't listen. So definitely your support always helps. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Radio Public, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all those places. Like, subscribe, give us 5 stars. Help us get the word out there. We love to do this.
Hey.
Help us get the word out there. What you got to say, Oz? I just hear you chomping at the bit. What you got, man?
Another thing I wanted to say about the show that is really amazing is that when we had a chance to do the show with the fine gentleman, as we went through the whole exercise and everything, there was a certain point where I literally was lost and got transported into the battleground trying to figure things out. It's an awesome show. It's really cool. It's thoughtful, and it's thought-provoking. So that's all I want to say. So,
all right, dude. And so this is what Jay was talking about when he said I was piggybacking. How you just gonna say exactly what I just said, man?
Dude, when did you say thoughtful and thought-provoking? When did you say?
Touche. I was just making sure. I was just checking to see if you were paying attention.
Yeah, don't go checking me when I'm 4 beers deep, dude. Don't. Now's not the time to check.
Man,
because now's the time when I write checks. I'm just saying, okay?
Yeah, okay. Let's get to some news tidbits, shall we? We got some news tidbits to get to.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth has been announced to play, or rumored, well, not rumored, but has been announced to play Hulk Hogan in an upcoming biopic. Oz, I know you don't really know a lot about wrestling, but you at least know who Hulk Hogan is, and you know who Chris Hemsworth is. Jay and Evan, I know you both are pretty familiar with the wrestling genre. So let's start with our guest. First, do you think he is a good cast as Hulk Hogan? And secondly, who would you cast as Ric Flair?
That's a really good question. So if you're thinking Chris Hemsworth as Hulk Hogan, we'll start there. As I said in our Lost episode, I actually have to apologize because I said Chris Hemsworth wasn't a good actor when he had to talk. Actually, he's been in a couple things I totally forgot about where he was a good actor. He was in Star Trek before he was Thor. So I apologize to the world for that one. But anyway, I can picture him as being Hulk Hogan, definitely. They could put some more size on him. I think he could really portray the role very well. He's about the right size, but he's got to really get big because Hogan was huge back in those days. As a wrestling fan, I'm not big on Hulk Hogan as a wrestler, but as a body, somebody who could push the company, he did very good on his charisma and getting everybody to follow and growing wrestling huge in the 80s. Before there was social media and all that kind of stuff, he was a big name. Everybody knew who Hulk Hogan was. Even my mom and different people that don't watch wrestling always knew who he was. So getting somebody like Chris Hemsworth, I said this when I was thinking about it to myself, that if you're going to take a character like Chris Hemsworth, who's been Thor in the Marvel franchise owned by Disney, and he's going to portray can't get that word out, not even drinking yet, but he's going to play a character of the legend of Hulk Hogan as far as popularity, and you're going to drop that on Netflix. It has the potential to be their biggest show of all time, I think, because you're getting all the wrestling fans that loved Hogan back in the day, you're getting all the haters who hated some of the things he did, and you're getting all the Marvel franchise all to go to Netflix to watch this show when it does drop. So for your second question, man, I'm talking a lot. Turn to Oz Jr. over here.
I've raised you right.
If I was going to go with Chris Hemsworth as Hulk Hogan, you got to think who would be the Ric Flair. He has to be somebody who's very well out there, a little bit older than him. Actually, this may sound absolutely crazy, but I think if you got him into shape, you could pull Robert Downey Jr. because he has the same lifestyle as Ric Flair. He's an alcoholic. He partied all that time, and he had a great career, and he's all about throwing himself out there. So his look really don't get there, but I think if you decked him out, he can nail the role, and it might be a great combination. And that's it so far, unless I got any other that enters in my mind.
Okay. And when you think about it, he kind of has the older Ric Flair body type from Flair from when he was wrestling more in Raw in the early 2000s. They kind of have the same body type a little bit. So, Jay, what you think?
Man, here's the thing about casting Hulk Hogan to me is the guy is huge. So like what would you say? Hogan's a legit 6'6" in his prime, maybe 6'7".
Yeah,
he's a big dude.
3 something.
And I'm more curious. If you look at Hemsworth, do they CGI the bald spot?
I didn't think of that.
I mean, does he skull cap it?
I'm sure they'll just put a skull cap.
They'll put a prosthetic. They'll prosthetic on that head. Yeah.
I think that'll be
okay. They could just wear the bandana, man, on his head. You don't know.
You're right, though. They probably will just put the bandana on most times.
Yeah.
Oh, no, trust me. They're going to spend money on his prosthetic, on his bald spot, and on his the Fu Manchu. So it's going to be fine.
Now, is this a movie or are they going to do a series?
It's going to be a movie.
Because, man, a series would be so much better. 5, 6, 7 episode series. As for Hemsworth, man, if you look at through Hollywood, it's kind of hard to find somebody that would be a good Hulk Hogan. I guess I would accept Hemsworth if I had to cast a Ric Flair. Man, I'm going to say Zac Efron, maybe, for a young Ric Flair.
That's probably a really good casting, man.
That would work for a young one.
Yeah, because, I imagine if you're going to do Hogan, I would do Hogan in the early years, kind of like when he had his hair and he had the white trunks and the little blue cape and whatnot, when he was the heel. And I would end that movie, the end scene is him kind of pouring the water on him. He's got the red and yellow on. You're, facing his back. And you hear the music hit, and he opens the curtain, and you just hear the crowd roar. Because I think everybody knows Hogan's story from the time he was Hulk Hogan, the hero, eat your vitamin, say your prayers, all that other crap. I think the story that needs to be told is everything before that.
Yes. I can't remember what podcast it is, but they go into they're interviewing Hogan, and they're asking him it might have been the Jericho podcast or possibly the Stone Cold one. And you find out he did a lot of crazy stuff when he was younger. And I think when he first got into business, was he the one that they broke his leg in the ring on his first day of practice? Or am I getting that wrong? For anybody who may know what I'm talking about, I cannot remember.
I don't know, but that's why I think you should do everything before his career took off.
Because he did a lot of Japan circuits too, and I did not know that.
Yeah,
I watched that.
He's got a match against, is it Great Muta you should probably watch. It's pretty good. So,
well, a lot of those guys got their chops doing their stuff in Japan first and everything,
Yeah. Well, and you go to Japan back in the 80s and make twice as much as what you were doing in the States. So, I mean, like guys like the Road Warriors would go there and make like $15,000 in a week. Imagine making $15,000 in a week now.
Well, Foley too. Like Foley went over there and did his stuff too, And I think Hacksaw Jim Duncan had a little stint, didn't he?
I don't know about that one.
I think he did actually.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he did. Everybody in the territory days, that's what they would do. They'd run a territory. When they needed to cool down, they'd go to Japan, and then they'd come back and work a different territory or start a new program. So, but yeah, to me, I'm going to go with Zac Efron as a Ric Flair. I could see him with that long, thick, golden lock going, woo, coming out of the jet plane with the women hanging all over him and the title belt and the nice suits. Yeah, I could see it.
Lord. Didn't he, wasn't he in that Baywatch movie with The Rock too? So if that's true, he gets to be with both of them.
And now that I say that, I swear I've seen him in a movie with a blonde wig and a robe on.
Actually, I think it's Grandpa's Boy or Grandpa. I can't remember the name of it. Him and De Niro.
Dirty Grandpa?
Yeah.
Might be it, yeah. So
it's a funny movie.
That's what
not for children.
Oz, what you got?
So I'm going to go with a little bit of a different, because you guys are much more, definitely affluent than I am in current wrestling. If we're going to do our guy as Hulk Hogan, I would like to see actually a biopic about Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan. I know Ric Flair's there, but my Ric Flair would either be, probably because I'm dating myself, I would probably not be a bad date anyway, but I would like to see Brad Pitt as Ric Flair, or I think it's Sam Rockworth or whatever. Cause they're manic enough to get that Ric Flair energy going on to me. But yeah, I would like to see Andre the Giant, Hulk Hogan thing, but I know it doesn't really mix with the Ric Flair, but there's got to be something that has to happen. Maybe they're going to do something when Hulk Hogan was with the NWO, I guess, was it, or whatever?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
So this may sound ridiculous, but I think you could cast The Miz as Ric Flair, and I think he'd be able to do a really good Ric Flair on screen. I think it'd be very natural for him.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, he was his mentor there for a while.
And he wouldn't look too small. He wouldn't look small beside him for it.
No. Well, I mean, if you're going to do that, you might as well get Charles Robertson. That was mini Ric Flair.
He's too small.
Yeah, but
you can always pull out the Jay Lethal. Just throwing it out there.
Better question. That's who I'm wondering. Who do you get to play Randy Savage?
Oh.
Who pulls that off?
Gerard Butler.
But man, he's
so it's Randy Savage, Ric Flair, and Hulk Hogan.
I don't know if Randy or Ric Flair in the movie. He was just one of the wrestlers. I assume is going to at least have an appearance in the movie. So it's just really
Randy Savage.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it's just I was just random spitballing off of it right there. That's all that was.
Yeah, I'm still down to say that it would be if it's Netflix and it's not a series and it's a movie. It feels like it probably is going to wind up being that Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant thing as a biopic, because people are so familiar with that. But there's going to be some behind the scenes. You're going to see some you're going to get into how oh my God, man, Hulk Hogan, he blew out his back and all this other stuff that happened. that's where I'm thinking about all this stuff. But
Okay. Let's go to speaking of Chris Hemsworth, a staple in the Marvel universe. We'll go there. Red Hulk will make his MCU debut in the She-Hulk Disney Plus series. Jay, I'll start with you. Are you excited about Red Hulk making his appearance, and is he a good villain for She-Hulk?
Well, man, to me, that kind of... I'm going to go ahead and say no. Because throughout the MCU, you really have not built up the hatred that Ross Banner at all. And I think for that to work, it would actually have to... That hate's got to be there. And the thing is, and if you wanted to transfer that hate to She-Hulk, I mean, he would have to know that Jennifer Walters is She-Hulk. And I think we've already got the Hulk in the MCU, and then you're going to bring in She-Hulk. And if you add another Hulk, I think you're going to cause burnout, much like when his character showed up. And then, like Rick Jones he was Abomination. He was a Hulk. And then Betty Ross turned into a Red Hulk. And, everybody was just hulking out at that time. I think that's going to cause some burnout. I just like him being Thunderbolt Ross and like giving Mandroid armor or something like that. He doesn't really need to be the Red Hulk. And the question is, how do you make him the Red Hulk? I mean, because Modok and them did it in the comics. I mean, you'd have to bring in that character, or you'd have to find out some way to replicate what happened to Bruce. So there would have to be a lot of explaining, in my opinion, to make all that make sense.
You got some explaining to do.
So there has been rumors of, you mentioned Modok, correct?
Yeah, the Modok cartoon.
Yes, there has been rumors of him making his appearance in the third Ant-Man movie.
Yeah, but back to She-Hulk though, I don't like the. I think for everything that Jay said, I don't like the introduction of Red Hulk in this, because you turn it into one of these weird Batwoman CW things where the only way you introduce Red Hulk is you go, the General captured the Hulk, killed him, figured out his powers, now wants to get She-Hulk, because they've never had a history together. So that's the only way you make a history with those two having a link together, and it just turns weird.
What does that have to do with Batwoman?
Well, what Batwoman was, how did you throw Batwoman there? Oh, you said, she's cousin to Bruce, and so she inherits Gotham. That's the only piggyback link you have to Batman to Gotham through Batwoman. It's the same way through the if you try and introduce the Red Hulk and She-Hulk in the She-Hulk series, they're just two separate things. You don't need to do it. So,
man, I don't know. Like, if you had to ask me if you got Thunderbolt Ross, the way I would go about it is have him get introduced a little bit later on in the series, and it's because he finds out the She-Hulk is like the Hulk, but she's also able to maintain her intelligence, and she's able to like be a lawyer and all that stuff. And he's trying to investigate to find out how she can control hers and Bruce cannot, while he's figuring out how he can turn into this Red Hulk or use it for himself. And maybe at the end of the series is when he actually does that. That's the story arc I would go with.
And that's smart, actually. That's really good.
Well, see, here's how while you guys were talking, and just kind of hit me. Here's a really good, easy way to turn him into Hulk. Well, you just look, okay, Oz, I'll throw this to you because you're the old school comic book guy. How did Jennifer Walters become She-Hulk?
It was a blood transfusion.
That's how you change him into the Red Hulk. I mean, would it not make sense? And I'm going to kind of throw this around from a Godzilla perspective. Is if you look at the High Sci series for Godzilla in the 90s and mid to late 80s, it was all based around the science and the genetics of Godzilla. So anytime Godzilla attacked Tokyo or Osaka, they were running around collecting his cells and his skin and whatnot, and they were trying to replicate and weaponize it and whatnot. So, I mean, who says that Ross isn't doing that right now? Anytime the Hulk's been in a fight, he's collecting blood samples, tissue samples. And then all of a sudden, she turns into She-Hulk. They find out it's a blood transfusion. He's like, well, man, I got all this Hulk blood right here. And then, boop, there you go.
both those meld together. That makes the most sense to me to introduce them to.
Yeah, and I'm throwing $1 million ideas, but the thing is, you still have to find a way to explain how he's a different type of Hulk, because he absorbs cosmic energies and all that other stuff. He's not like Banner at all. He's a different type of Hulk. So
maybe you can do it by having, if they're collecting all this blood and all these samples from him, that like they're testing it and they're irradiating it and doing all sorts of weird stuff to it too.
Yeah. And I know that there's that Shield show isn't part of the MCU. If you kept that, you could bring Mr. Hyde in and have him work on a Hulk formula for Ross, considering he's already kind of started something like that with himself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I did see. Sorry, I cut you off. I did see something on YouTube, I think, today. I can't remember what I was watching. They was talking about this. And they say in Iron Man 3, they had that extremist virus that kind of like does fire. A lot of people think it might be something that he adds to that with the Hulk DNA that can possibly do it, JVD's talking about doing, which might make him the Red Hulk.
Well, that would be cool because in the comics, the extremist virus affects everybody differently.
Yeah.
So I could see that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'm of the idea when it comes to as far as because the general consensus I got before we started, or before you all started brainstorming, was that you all weren't too keen on the idea of Red Hulk being introduced for varying reasons. I'm of the idea that if you don't have any plans for Red Hulk, you're not going to use him in any movies anytime soon, because I think that's a big part of the fatigue that Jay was talking about. And I know they are completely separate entities and don't have anything to do with each other, like Oz brought up. But if you don't have any plans for Red Hulk, and I say why not use him in a series to introduce She-Hulk and just kind of show, just kind of let She-Hulk show off and let her really be able to show her powers against somebody who can take it and dish it back. You know what I mean? Like, this is a good way for She-Hulk to actually have a struggle against an opponent, which I think is going to become a problem for her as she moves forward in her series and whatnot. Because she's a Hulk at the end of the day. There's only so many people that can give her trouble. So I'm of the idea that this is an easy character that people will be like, especially people who aren't like super comic people and just Disney Plus people, like they'll be like, "Ooh, a Red Hulk fighting a She-Hulk? Oh, that's awesome." You know what I mean? Like, I'm of the idea, like, if you're not going to use them in movies, why not throw them in the series?
You still need a catalyst, though.
You do need a catalyst, but I think that's an easy, like, you guys just came up with 4 or 5 ideas just right there. Like, I think that's an easy fix to come up with a way to introduce him. I'm just talking about as far as using the character, you might as well get some use out of him instead of just letting him sit in the shelf collecting dust.
But here's the thing you bring up, sitting in there collecting dust. You've got the Abomination around, who literally would be like Ross as a Hulk. He's highly military trained. And as the Abomination, he was fighting the Hulk like with combat skills. That's what I'm saying. I'd much rather have Ross Ross became Red Hulk there around 2008, 2007. And then before that, for like 50 years, it was all technology, military equipment. I'd much rather see Ross fight her like that than just be a Hulk.
Okay. Moving on to, we mentioned Netflix, or Oz mentioned Netflix. He thought it would be a really cool Netflix series for the Hulk Hogan biopic. Netflix has grabbed the rights to Enola Holmes, which revolves around Sherlock's sister, and stars Millie Bobby Brown and Henry Cavill, and Sam Claflin and Helena Bonham Carter. That was a mouthful.
Which would be Moriarty. Moriarty has a evil twin sister, which is the nemesis of Sherlock Holmes' sister.
So I don't know anything about Sherlock Holmes' sister or anything like that. I'm really happy that Henry Cavill is getting. Hopefully, this is turns into a nice little franchise for him. And Millie Bobby Brown, because I think she's probably earned her a lifetime contract at Netflix off of Stranger Things.
Yeah, but So has Henry from tossing a coin, brother.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so get that straight really quick.
I mean, you might as well give them like stock in Netflix. I mean,
Like JVD, if you're not giving them stock, you're definitely saying you're on the board of you're you're chairman of the board, or you're on the board or something. Come on, man.
and
Give me a break.
no spoilers, but I know how much Cavill loves The Witcher. Boy, I hope he changes a lot of those last couple books around because they're tough.
Okay. Let's see here. The Venom 2 movie has been titled Let There Be Carnage. What are your thoughts on the titles? Evan, we'll start with you. Thoughts on the title, and are you excited about the Venom 2 movie?
All right, so I'll start from the top. On Venom 1, the movie, I went and watched it. I thought I was going to like it, and I thought it was pretty good, but it's still missing a lot of elements that really make it a Venom movie, because I think it's really hard to do it without having a Spider-Man, and some of the animation was kind of janky in it, but overall I really enjoyed it. But then me and JVD happened to go to a convention in Memphis where the current writer, Don Cates, I think is his name. We went to Donny Cates. He's awesome. But he starts talking about, the Venom movie and all the things that he thought, they did wrong and right. And it got me thinking that they really kind of messed that up. And I feel like it was a good enough movie for my first view that I'm thinking most people that are not comic book fans probably liked that movie. And I liked it when I first seen it, but it made me think like they put a lot of missteps in the movie without having some of the essential characters that you need to build that with. So by having a title like that for the second one, which means you're going to use Carnage. He was in the first film too at the very end. But by having that, I don't know. I think you're giving away too much unless they're not going to use Carnage, but then I don't know why you would call it that. It's kind of a pointless name change if I had to say right now with what I've gathered so far. So I think it's a pointless name change at this moment. Over to JVD.
What a terrible name. Did anybody think of the movie series Let There Be Blood when they read that?
Let There Be Blood. Yes.
That's funny. Yeah, I think it's terrible. It doesn't really roll off the tongue. Hey, babe, what do you want to go watch this weekend? Let's go watch Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I mean, it doesn't have anything that, to me, that just sounds real smooth. Like if they would have named it like Bloody Carnage or, something like that. I think for one, personally, and I was just talking about this on Twitter the other day when it got brought out, is putting Carnage in the title, I think is terrible. Because
it's lazy.
Yeah, it is. And we as fans, it takes away the mystery from the movie because we watch Venom. You get the unexpected Woody Harrelson with little Debbie red hair at the end, which is unexpected. And then oh, cool, we have Cletus Cassidy. Well, there was no signs of how Carnage would come about in the movie, and we all know how it happens in the comics. So here's the thing. We know that we're going to have Cletus Cassidy in the second one. We don't know that he's going to become Carnage. They could save that for a third movie or maybe like their crossover movies with like Spider-Man or something. So just saying Let There Be Carnage is just a way of telling you, yeah, Carnage is in this, which I think personally, after the last Venom movie, no one I think is going to care about any fight with Carnage and Venom, because if you look at the end of Venom, you had a fight with a symbiote. It's much like we just talked about with Ross and the Hulks. It's a burnout. I mean, how much different could you change a fight between Carnage and Venom than you did with Carnage and Ride at the end of the first Venom movie? I mean, once the fight happens, you've already seen it. Right. I mean, it takes place in a city where Carnage is like throwing tendrils around and like hacking people apart. But other than that, I mean, you already showed us this fight. I mean, how can you do it any different? And my thing is, if you're going to introduce Carnage, your movie has to be a hard rated R. I mean, he is very violent. He's very gory. He's very sadistic. I mean, you have to portray the type of character they need him to be, they're really going to have to push. And I think Woody Harrelson can do the character if they let him do what he needed to do, say, like Natural Born Killers. So, but the title, hate it, just scrub it. It just not sound good to me at all.
Go ahead, Oz.
No. I have nothing else to add to that. Just that I don't. Yeah, you know what, JD, I hear everything you said there. It just seems like they said, hey, we made a lot of money off of people who don't really know maybe who Spider-Man is, but wanted to see a different type of movie. I don't have opinions. The only thing I have to say is that the title's super lazy, though. That's it.
I think it's fine. It tells you exactly what the movie's going to be about. It's it's going to draw people in on the name value of Carnage. Woody Harrelson will draw people in because he's going to do a great job. But
it's going to be a huge CGI fight. Then that's it, though.
Well, we assume that. We assume that based on Venom. It could be something different. I mean, we don't know, but. I mean, we have good assumption based off of Venom, but they might have something different planned. But as far as just him as the character, he'll draw people in. The intrigue of Spider-Man possibly appearing or Morbius appearing, that will draw people in. There's a lot of elements that will be working in its favor to really. I think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to hurt this movie at all. If anything, I think it adds just a bit more intrigue. And there is potential for burnout. I agree with you, Jay, on that. But I do think the Carnage name, at least on the outside, is going to draw people in, at least have them intrigued. That first trailer will be key.
And that's a good question. When are we going to get that now that San Diego's canceled?
Oh, till next year.
No time soon.
All I know is everything's up for grabs now because everything's been postponed or moved around. It's just a new world.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm not trying to pull an Oz here or not. But man, that's the thing. Like, I wish they would have waited for that movie. And me and Hawk had just talked about this when we recorded Comic Book Cinema Tuesday for Wednesday. And then they did the trailer, the announcement for the title later on after we were done. But here's the thing. Venom was so far out, you could have waited. Mm-hmm. Time, because once all these movies keep getting pushed back, they're all going to pile up on each other, and then you're going to have to fight for money, basically, unless you're a top tier movie like a Black Widow,
right?
Wonder Woman. Like, for instance, I'm really excited for King Kong versus Godzilla. It got pushed back to November, beginning of the year, the end of last year, because of Fast and Furious. And now they moved Black Widow back to November. They've moved the new Bond movie back to November. And most likely, that movie, that's what it's franchised on, this MonsterVerse. And most likely, it's going to get destroyed if anything else gets pushed back on top of it. So now you have to ask your question, well, do we push this movie back again? And now it's back even further than what it was in almost probably a year. All these movies eventually are going to start toppling up on each other. And it's not going to be good for the movie industry, if you ask me, because then we're everybody's suffering economically and trying to find out where they're going to put their money, and if they're going to save their money. You come in November, well, Black Widow's in November. I only have this much money. It's the only movie I'm going to go see, and then all your other movies suffer. So it's going to suck.
No, it's you're absolutely right. And the two things I think about that is just like one thing that's come out of it is fatigue. Mm-hmm. It's pocket fatigue, movie fatigue. And a while ago, that's not true. Like maybe 3 weeks ago, there was rumored talk about, since they're pushing all these movies back, that they were going to start trying to do like release new movies, like through just start releasing movies so you can watch it on your TV. That might need to happen to kind of recover some stuff, but it might be also the death of the movie theater, which would be horrible, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think my fear is just like not just the pockets, like because economically we're all going to get hit bad, but just like we're all going to have fatigue with all these movies being pushed back, and I don't know if people really think about things properly. The people who are in charge of the movies, at least.
So the Venom movie was only pushed back 8 months, as far as due to this. It got pushed back to June 25th, 2021. Which I think a summer release is probably better for it anyway. I think it'll do good in the early summer months.
But think of everything else that's getting pushed back too.
But I think that's why it was smart to claim a date early, because you don't want to go against Venom. Why would you want to put your movie against Venom? So I think them claiming that date, I think they'll kind of at least secure you won't get a big budget movie going against them. You might get one maybe the week after or 2 weeks before. But at least for that week, you will be the only new release or big-time release. I think it was smart to go get a date early. I think it's smart to get a date early. Scare people off of that date. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but eventually people aren't going to be scared to take that date. I mean, it was still 6 months out. I mean, come October, you might be able to go to a theater, though.
Mm-hmm.
They might have waited. Because here's the thing. What happened to the point where we keep pushing Wonder Woman back, and they're like, you know what, just hit Venom. Because most people are probably going to see Wonder Woman before they go see Venom.
I don't think they'd do that though. Because even if Wonder Woman does get more money than Venom, you're still losing profit. It wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense to put it against Venom.
Well, I mean, they're all losing profit right now anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But that's even more reason why it wouldn't make sense. At least to put it against Venom. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like it's not like you're putting it against, a smaller movie like that.
Well, I'm going to tell you, from a production's point of view, all people are thinking about right now is just getting these movies out the door and then starting production up. That's all they care about.
Yeah, because they need that money to produce other films.
Yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing. This is one of the reasons why I wish they wouldn't have put it back. Because here's the thing, the first movie that takes a stand during all this, be like, no, we believe in October, November, December that theaters are open up. Imagine the killing any movie out at that time is going to make.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody's going to want to get out of their house. Everybody's going to want something to do, and people like to go to the movies. So if you plant your flag here and it's like, hey, we're going to wait until a month beforehand to see what happens and then move. But if the theater's open, man, I mean, the floodgates are going to be insane because...
You really think a lot of people are going to be running to go sit right beside somebody?
JVD, regular Scott Evan, it's going to be like Braveheart screaming freedom.
Yeah.
I don't know about a movie theater, though. I could see parks and stuff like that where you can have your space, but a movie theater where you have to, especially as close as they are, I think that's the issue. Like, that's such a tight, confined space.
Well, that's my fear. That's my fear is, like, out of this new world, this new economy, places are going to get hit. And I feel like theaters are going to be like, crap, unless they start doing something weird where they take a seat out.
Yeah, you'll have to buy a seat apart. Like, you know what I mean? You'll have to do something, unless you're a family.
That's what our theater actually was doing before all this happened. So,
I mean, you could definitely do something like that. But it is, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's crazy that all this stuff's getting pushed back. And, whenever things do clear up, as much as I don't agree with it, you're probably right. People probably will flood it. I don't see how, your first instinct would be, let me go to the movies and go sit right beside somebody.
No, your first instinct is, I'm going to the bar.
Or something like that, you know what I mean? And Jay, I'm not saying you're wrong because you're probably right. It baffles me that's going to be people's first instinct, and I mean you're probably right.
I think
Twitter poll.
Yeah.
Hey, look, maybe where would you rather go, to the movies or the bar when this lifts?
Hey, think about it. Look, the beaches just opened up, and how many people showed up?
Well, that's different though. See, that to me, that the beach is completely different than a movie theater.
Yeah, but still, it was something that was people were allowed to go do to take their off of something.
I get that, but I don't know if I put that because you're not confined and you're not right beside somebody. That's
okay, but here, check this out.
What up?
What if they start doing some stuff like Hey, we cleaned our theater, and everybody who comes here has to wear a mask. People will come. Wait, hold on. Just hear me out. What a great way to get a bunch of nerds to come out to wear their mask and represent like a superhero movie. It'll be awesome.
Hey, wait. I just got a good idea. I don't know if you guys can pitch in on this, but we need to open drive-in theater chains.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, we have some. We have some around where I live. So.
Oh, we have some here too. Yeah, like
well, we live in the same place, Oz.
Well, hey.
So yeah, we do have some here. That's what I just said.
Hey, Mr. Smartmouth, it's
up?
Closer to me than you.
I'm not saying it's not, but we live in the same area.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. It's closer to me than you.
Children, don't make me break out the water hose.
Right.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, regular Scott doesn't even know where the drive-in theater is, and I've been there twice.
Listen, that's what the beauty of GPS is. I don't need to know where it is. This is not back in the day where I had to print off the MapQuest sheets and read those off.
No. Back in the day, you didn't have a printer to print anything off. You had a map.
Yeah, I'm not back in that day. I'm not back in that day.
Okay.
We had a printer in our day. You feel me?
Yeah.
All right. So I had other news tidbits, but as you can tell, we get on a topic and we get rolling. So
I'll just do one more, dude. Just do one more.
You want one more news tidbit?
Just one more news tidbit. Your choice. One more.
All right. We'll do. Actually, you know what? We'll do a news tidbit that we actually did on one of the lost tapes, and we'll talk about that again. How about that?
Okay.
All right. Let's talk about the Justice League Dark. J.J. Abrams will be bringing that to HBO Max. What are you guys' thoughts on Justice League Dark? Is that something that excites you? And name 3 characters you would put on the team. Oz, start with you.
Wow.
No, that way you don't get the piggyback.
Okay, great. Hey, Justice League Dark. I'm excited. And little spoiler and plug. I'm excited for that and Justice League Dark Apocalypse too.
What's the spoiler for? What's the spoiler for?
Well, just because I
what?
The trailer looks so amazing, and again, DC, you spent all your time fucking up live action when you could have just did nothing but animation and run the game. Anyway,
Oz, real quick. What's the spoiler for? Why am I doing the spoiler alert?
Well, because I know it's coming out, but I just maybe you didn't need to do spoiler. Sorry, spoiler alert. Beer number 5.
Spoiler alert retracted.
Okay, so Dark, 3 characters. Zatanna needs to be one, easy fix. Constantine would be awesome, another one, and number 2. I always thought an easy one would be a Dr. Fate, who is similar to like Doctor Strange, but that's just me.
So you got Zatanna and Dr. Fate on the team.
Well, I you know what? Hold on. If we can because we can make it HBO Max street level. Constantine, Zatanna, and you know what? The easy fix for that is Deadman, and I'm out.
Okay. E, what you got?
I'm going to name 3. I can't name one I want because I know that JVD is going to want to say his name, so I'll let him have it. But if it was me, I would. The number 1, I think you have to have Swamp Thing.
Yeah, good call.
I feel like Swamp Thing would be a very good character to add because you got the swamp element, and then you want to go with like the Shadow Darkness. Man, I don't know. I think I would go with. I think his name is Shade, the Changeling. I don't know too much about him, but I feel like he would give you like a dark element, and I would probably find somebody who's like maybe like a I can't remember her name, Zatanna. I would probably go with her. That way you get your magic, you get your monstrous, humanoid, scientific, and you get your like shadowy character. I think you need all those elements if you want to do a creepy vibe type of movie.
Man, bonus points on calling out the Shade. I like that one.
I almost forgot his name.
Go ahead, Jay. What you got?
Man, I thought Oz was going to take my team of Zatanna, Constantine, and Etrigan, who I know Evan was holding back.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought about it, but yes, I remember our last show.
But yeah. So that's who I take. I think you've got your muscle and Itrigan, the rhyming on Constantine's nerves, who constantly bitches about it and pokes fun at it, and then Zatanna gets a good laugh out of it and tells him he should lighten up.
Backwards.
Yes. So yeah, backwards, exactly. So I think you've got a good cast of characters with 3 completely different personalities and 3 completely different looks on the outlook of what's going on, and physically they all look different. So it's very appealing.
So I went a little bit different direction. So I obviously I have Constantine and Zatanna, even though I don't think they'll be able to use Constantine. But I think those 2 are kind of given. You need a strong female. I think Zatanna fits that mold. She's fresh. She's somebody new. Constantine is kind of the name that the name value guy. I went with Talon as a guy for Justice League Dark. I think he could be kind of that anti-hero guy that fits in there.
Talon of
the Court of Owls.
Okay.
No. That's not a bad pick, because then with the Court of Owls, you tie yourself to Barbatos and the Dark Dimensions.
Come on.
So that's not bad at all, really.
And you also get a character who has lived a secret life all these years and studied a lot of different things from different elements of the world and knows all the secrets of the world, especially in Gotham City.
I will say that is awesome, but I will throw. You can take Talon out and give. It was Ezragon, the demon. He has lived through multiple centuries, has been a part of the occult world. And you get that when you have him in there. So.
Okay, but peep this though. You didn't put him on your team.
Oh yeah, I get it.
Okay. Because I don't remember replacing your team members.
No, but hey,
all right, true that. So we're gonna take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back, and hopefully Oz will accept the fact that I pick my own team.
No.
Except for Constantine and Zatanna. I took those from him. We'll be right back.
This is Defy Life.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome to the Defy Life podcast. Join JR, Thomas, and Al as they take on topics in sports, politics, current events, family, and more. Insightful, hilarious, always unique. New episode every Wednesday. Powered by the Defy Life Podcast Network. Listen at DefyLifePods.com and everywhere else your favorite podcasts are available. If you're not rocking with Defy Life, what's your life about?
Go.
And we're back. And make sure you guys are checking out the Defy Life podcast. I was a guest on the Defy Life podcast last week. And let me just say this. Your boy did better on trivia that time than Oz has done the 3 times on the Battleground. So maybe I need to go and represent Take a Knee on the Battleground instead of doing questions.
Why don't you do that and let me write the questions?
Nah, we're not letting you host.
Hey, I'm just saying I beat Oz on the Battleground. So.
What you got to say to that?
I'm just let me write the questions.
But no, definitely check out the Defy Life podcast. We had ourselves a little fantasy draft. Well, not fantasy. Well, fantasy draft in theory, in that we played the GMs, and Mr. JR, the Kingpin, as we like to call him, he played the commissioner. So we sent our draft picks in, and I did make some questionable picks, to say the least.
Shocking.
Spoiler alert. Oz, you don't even know what the draft is. Spoiler alert. Shout out to Zach Bond. I'll just leave it at that. Shout out to Zach Bond. If you listen to the show, you'll get it. If you want to get it, go check out the draft. It'll make sense. Go check those guys out. They put out a great product. All right, let's get to it. So I have a one's got to go, but I also have. Let me ask you guys this. Do you want to do the one's got to go that I have, or would you like to try a new segment?
Why not both?
Oh. Okay.
Day 47.
Okay,
Yeah, let's do both.
All right, you guys are wild men. Let's do it. So let's start with the one's got to go. One of these comic book titles, one of these stories has to go. This one might be easy, might not be. Civil War, House of M, Flashpoint, Crisis on Infinite Earths. 4 classic titles. One's got to go. I'll leave the floor open for whoever wants to go.
House.
Wow.
Very quick.
The only reason I'll say I'll go is because I get accused of piggybacking, so I'll easily go first.
Well, you can't. Somebody already said House of M.
Yeah, House of M.
Oh, cool. I will say Civil War.
Oh, wow. E, what you got?
Man, this is really hard. Man, I'm going to say Flashpoint because I enjoy the DC stories before they changed everything. So that's why I would pick Flashpoint.
This might be a first here on Take a Knee. I'm going to take Crisis.
Wow.
That's
hold up. Let's find everybody's reasoning.
So my reasoning is just this. Civil War was one of the first real crossover events I ever experienced, and I was just blown away by it. House of M, I was blown away by it. Now,
the comic book or the movie?
The comic book. I'm talking about the comic book. Like, I really like the comic story of Civil War. Like the follow up and everything like that may not have been what it should have been, but as far as the story, I think the 7-issue story is very good. I think it's 7 issues.
I like it.
And Flashpoint is another one that I really like that, and I really like the cartoon, and I wouldn't have got the cartoon without the story. Crisis on Infinite Earths, it's part of it is I just didn't grow up with it, so it doesn't resonate with me the same way. And I think that's a big part of comics and characters and stories in general with comics. Like I think that's a big part of what you're gonna resonate with. And I just didn't grow up with it. It wasn't introduced to me first. So I think that's a big part of why I can let that go.
I like that.
Let's go backwards, Evan. What do you got?
I kind of said earlier, but the main reason for Flashpoint is JVD can tell you I used to read nothing but Marvel for a long time. And then Jeff Johns, I started reading a lot of his stuff from Green Lantern to Flash to different characters. And I really liked his writing style, and I really got into DC. And I dug in. I learned everything I could about all the Batman family. And about time I learned all this stuff, a few years later, they start doing their resets. And I feel like anytime they have a character that can alter time, DC screws up. When Marvel does that, they have great stories like X-Men Days of Future Past. I just feel like if that wasn't there, I would still love DC as much as I love Marvel, but I do not. I love Marvel more now, and it used to be the same about 10 years ago.
Jay?
I picked House of M because personally I think it had the and when I say this, as I use the term least very loosely, the least effect between any of them. If you look at Crisis can combine the continuity of all of DC and brought it together as all these books as one whole universe instead of having a different Batman here or, a different Superman and then this Superman. You look at Civil War. Civil War was very epic. Because there was so much happening that, as a fan, I did not expect to happen. Like when Spider-Man revealed his identity. Boom,
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. Man, okay, look. If you read Civil War and it's been 14 years, something's wrong with you. And the movie was, 4 or 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
So,
I just like to throw it out there.
Okay. Spoiler alert. Gotcha.
Wasted spoiler alert. Jeez, dude.
Well, at least we're not giving pump fix spoiler alerts like you are. You talking about spoiler alert? What's the spoiler for? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you gave a spoiler for something that's like decades old.
Is it a
Hey, I like
is
this
it a decade
spoiler
old?
alert.
Is it a decade old?
It's a decade old, dude.
Yeah, I
Hey,
guess.
Scott, you're in the right on that because when I started reading comics way back when, if I would have been listening to something like this and they was telling me stuff, and then I was like, I don't want to read the books now because I don't know what happened.
See what I'm saying? You give the spoiler alert, they could be like, "Oh, let me skip 15 seconds."
Listen, let me tell you something, and not to cut off JBD, but you got a couple things with Civil War. You got either the American Civil War, you got either the movie Civil War, or you got the comic book Civil War. You should know all three by now. So
I do agree. I mean, you can't argue.
We're split down the middle. Put it to Twitter.
I do.
Everybody read the book.
I do got one more thing to add. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but back in the day when Civil War was going on, I really enjoyed it. But some people say it was just a reenactment of the mutant storyline when they made the mutants have to turn in all their identities and it split them. So I don't know if it was that or if it was not, but that does kind of hang in there if you want to keep Civil War.
Evan, you're brilliant, and I can't wait for my turn.
Go ahead, Oz, because you're obviously chomping at the bit.
So listen, before I get my reason, again, Jay, Evan, you guys are brilliant, and regular Scott, I just love it because I'm in the midst of just knowledge here. So here's my pick. I said you can get rid of Civil War because of this. Crisis is this to me. And it could be a generational thing. It could just be a feeling thing. But Crisis, it was the first time DC said, look, we're going to try this. We're going to make one singular universe. Because DC had you think Marvel was crazy with 616? DC had millions of Earths. Captain what's his face in the Zoo Crew. They had every variation of Superman and Batman. And the reason why Crisis is so important, they killed Supergirl in that. It was and you had Superman from Earth, I think Earth 2, saying for the first time, he looked at himself and saw his blood and said, I'm bleeding. Monumental issues. Civil War was not that great, man. It was not that. It was like Captain America, spoiler alert, sorry. Captain America on the plane, death of Giant Man, but it just was not that epic and moving to me. House of M, I would tell you this, JBD, that's a close second to me because I was like, oh, okay, but I love the mutants though, but those are reasons. Those are reasons why I easily say that Civil War, it can go. It's out.
Well, I do think this is a first for Taking Me. I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time that everybody has selected. We've been 4 people, and everyone selected something different. So
with really good opinions, why we all had different reasons.
That's true. All right, so that time we only had to pick one. This time, my new segment is called Pick Two. I'm going to give you.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Your new segment is strictly called Pick Two.
Pick Two.
Okay.
Pick Two.
Is this like the McDonald's menu or something?
No, it's more like
it's the lottery.
Yeah, it's the lottery. It's more like the lottery, but it's just two. It's just 2 numbers. Pick 2.
Yeah, because regular Scott was originally going to call it "Have It Your Way," but
No, I was going to call it. I was going to call it the Daily Double.
Jesus.
All right. So I'm going to give you 6 movie titles. Only 2 of these movies will be finished and released in theaters. The rest of them will not ever see the light of day.
Dang, 6, dude. That's a lot, man.
So that means 4 of these movies will never see the light of day, but you only get to pick 2.
Okay.
Shout out to the pick 2. Hashtag pick 2, by the way. Let's see if we can get that popping. Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. The Batman. Black Adam. Suicide Squad. Spider-Man 3. Shang-Chi.
Jeez, dude.
Wow.
What's wrong with you?
I want to go take a shot. Be right back.
Go take a
I thought you said I was gonna go take a shit. I was
Dude,
like,
hey, Evan, I'm taking a shot at penicillin and getting my gun out.
That's
Hey,
a
I'm
lot of
allergic to
good movies
penicillin.
y'all are about to get rid
Hey,
of.
me too.
Oh, this is great.
oh no. So basically, keep 2 and you can never see the rest. They'll never.
Mhm.
Oh, this is easy for me. I got this.
Jay.
I'm keeping Strange and Spider-Man. The other 3 really have tied down to nothing. They don't continue anything in their cinematic universes. Batman is a totally different Batman than what we've had, and it's not even part of the DCEU universe. Black Adam, they've been talking about that since like 1943 being a movie, and it's probably never going to happen due to coronavirus. Suicide Squad, it's not a reboot. It's not a sequel. We don't know. And personally, after the first one, I don't care. Spider-Man, I'm like, oh, well, there's my second one. And then you had to hit me with Shang-Chi, which that's the one movie I am looking forward to.
Right.
It's not tied to any cinematic universe yet, so I could easily let it go.
Okay. Anybody else?
Those 2 are great, man, but I do want to see Shang, though.
Oh, I really do, because I'm really hoping for an Iron Fist introduction. So, I mean, the Mandarin, the 10 Rings, it's a perfect opportunity to bring in Fin Fang Foom, since he brought the rings to Earth. So, that's what
I'll go next. I'm definitely keeping Doctor Strange. There's too many possibilities. Too many things that can happen with that. There's no way I don't keep Doctor Strange.
And now Sam Raimi's directing it, so
yeah. The other movie I'm going to keep, and this might surprise you, is I'm going to keep Black Adam, because I think if The Rock is listen to me, well, Shazam, right? Very underrated movie, surprise of the DC universe. I think people want to see a sequel to that. I think if The Rock is invested in something, people will want to see it. Like, people will want to see. Jumanji did really well, and Jumanji 2
Return to which mountain.
They both did really well, though. Like, and they did critically well. So I have faith in Dwayne Johnson as far as.
But here's the thing. I don't need to have Dwayne Johnson invade my universe. He doesn't need to come into the comic world. He can be the action hero he needs to be, but he doesn't need to get into the Marvel and DC universe. He doesn't need to. He's almost tapped into it when he was doing G.I. Joe. He doesn't need to do it. That's just me. I don't need to see him do it.
I'm all for it. I have no reason to dislike him.
I don't need to smell what he's cooking with the DC universe.
Hey, and I want to throw a plug in here on a comic book cinema. Me and Paul just talked about how to introduce him by storyline into the DCU. You had a lot of fun on that episode.
That was good.
There you go.
Did you listen?
So who still needs to go?
Me and Oz. Wow, this is a tough one, but Marvel, even though I like their comics better right now, I think that DC, if this was real, this would be my way to get DC back on top. I wouldn't pick Marvel films because the Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, those films are great, but if you was to stop them now and no new ones were to be made, you still have all the history of what they have done. The characters that you have not seen going forward would definitely be Black Adam, which is what we talked about with The Rock, that pull a lot of eyes onto the DC product. And even though that might lift them off because you still have the Wonder Woman because she's not on this list, and you still have Shazam, that's the new Justice League right there. That would be a great. And for Marvel, even though I think that it may not hit here as big, you have to do Shang-Chi because it's an international global superstar waiting to happen. Because when that comes out, it will be huge over there, and I think it will be the highest grossing movie international for Marvel, just not here in the States. So they both kind of win, but I think DC would win more because the character can work with the other characters that are still there if the other movies never got made.
There we go. Oz, what you got?
I I don't know, man. I don't need to see Black Adam.
Okay, that's what you need if you didn't want to see, man.
I know.
Why you bashing on The Rock too, man?
Man, I let him down today.
You did.
You guys have valid points, but it's just a personal thing. I don't need to see The Rock in that, of those. Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm saying this, Shane, and this is directly related to my picks later on the show. Shang is one that stays, and the other one that stays is going to be. Give me the list again.
We have Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, Spider-Man 3.
I know.
Shang-Chi, Suicide Squad, The Batman, and Black Adam.
Shang stays, and I'll pick Doctor Strange just because I've been reading some current Doctor Strange. It's like, oh, these are good. So those two are staying. The rest, I don't care.
So I do want to say, Evan, I really like what you had to say about Shang-Chi and like as far as the international importance of releasing a movie like that, and how Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, they kind of, even if there wasn't another movie released with them, like there's other avenues. Like you could still use Doctor Strange in the WandaVision show. Like that's an easy fix to put him there. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man can easily be put into the She-Hulk series. Like there's easy fixes for that. I really, really like what you said about the because I think you're absolutely right. Like there is an importance about that movie being released, and it just the international flavor it would draw. I think there's something to that. You are almost. I'm almost ready to change my pick to Shang-Chi because I think that's just that's just a great point to bring up about it.
It's super smart.
Yeah, it's an excellent
It is.
Point.
And to top that, sorry to cut you off, is there's a lot of people that think all this virus and everything, it is hurting Marvel and Disney, but they think it's really going to hurt them because they was already in a down year with Black Widow and stuff. This is what's going to come back and haunt everybody that's saying that, because they may look like they're going down, but every roller coaster that goes down, it comes back up, and it's going to come back up with Shang-Chi.
Yeah, really like that point.
And really, I have to call you Evan the Wise.
Yeah, hey, you and Jay both given a couple $1 million ideas, but yeah, I really like that point. So, all right,
he's a Shang-Chi dude.
Well, you picked him too. I mean, you didn't have quite as elegant of a reasoning, but you picked him too. I'll give you that.
No, he's in the air tonight, and I can't wait till we get to our combo deals. It's like, yeah.
To kind of piggyback with Evan, and those two characters are fresh faces for a screen too.
Yeah, well, that's part of the reason I picked Black Adam, because I think The Rock would, and like we've all said, The Rock would bring except Oz, The Rock would bring eyes to it.
Because he's a fresh face. No.
Well, he's not a fresh face, but he would bring eyes to a fresh character, and even Shazam is still a fresh character to people.
Well, here I'm gonna tell you like this. Here, my personal thing is I don't want to see him in it, but you cannot deny that the chemistry that will happen and the humor that will come out of a Rock and a Shazam movie together, it would just be over the top,
Yeah. All right. So, like we said at the beginning of the show, we are going to be relaunching the comic book world pretty much as far as DC and Marvel is concerned. We are going to be giving 5 DC titles, solo titles, and 5 Marvel titles, 2 team-up titles, and 1 Elseworld title, or, kind of big crossover event. This should be a very interesting conversation. I think we're all gonna have some very differing opinions and characters used. So I'm gonna just go ahead and go first because I'm gonna go ahead and get my obvious one out the way.
Jesus. God, we have guests here too, but that's cool.
So Nightwing is definitely getting a title. So bam. Now we'll go to JVD and Evan. Go ahead.
Go ahead, E.
Which ones are we doing first? Marvel or DC?
We'll start with we'll start with DC. We'll do one at a time, and then we'll go to Marvel. We'll do one DC, one Marvel. So what you got for
We're
DC?
starting with the solo, correct? Okay.
Yep, one solo.
All right. For my solo, I will start just because if you're going to relaunch everything, you have to have Batman. But you all know that my Batman is not going to be Bruce Wayne. It's going to be Dick Grayson. If I was to relaunch, I would relaunch Batman with Dick Grayson, have Bruce as an older person, and train him and kind of be his Alfred, and kind of do the whole Dick Grayson when he was Batman the first time, a more aggressive Batman, a more flamboyant, confident Batman. I think it'd be a cool take on the character. The Batman title will get the old fans. The Dick Grayson will get your hardcore fans, and then it's also got movie written all over it if you was going to do a different style like that.
Okay. Jay, what you got?
I'm just going to go ahead and get my Batman out of the way, too, but I'm going Batman Beyond.
Oh, that's good, too.
I love Batman Beyond. I mean, I'm getting tired of modern day Batman movie-wise. Batman Beyond needs to be a movie. It would have such a killer soundtrack.
Okay.
Well, it's you said it before, with ideally you should have a Robert Pattinson with a Michael Keaton Batman Beyond, and you would make like a gazillion dollars.
Oh, that might have been on the Lost tape.
Yeah. So I guess I have to piggyback on the Batman thing. Is my one was Batman versus the DC universe, to really see, because it's been alluded to that he's got these things that are countermeasures to every superhero, but I would like to see a scenario where he actually is in some weird environment where he has to take out and has a method to take out the villains and the superheroes in a kind of weird Punisher Deadpool kind of thing.
So is this your Elseworld story, or is this your solo in continuity story?
This is my solo Batman 6-part miniseries.
So this is your Elseworld. Like, these aren't 6-part series, dude. This is your like weekly comic series that comes out. Okay, well then if I have to do a weekly comic series,
oh my lord,
man, I wanted to do one. He died early, but he had always fascinated me. I want to do one on Orpheus.
Okay, all right, fine, that's cool. Orpheus.
All right.
Let's go to Marvel. I'm not going to start this one off.
But you could literally do a series on Batman. Each one is Batman taking out a person.
No. You could, but we're just talking about like the in continuity. Or you asking Siri what her opinion is too?
I said you could literally do a series. A series like series. You just said my name.
Well, my quick review, I would do Nightwing because I have reasons that I'm not doing a Batman comic. I have him other places, and Nightwing would kind of, in the same way, Evan, that you're kind of putting Dick Grayson in the forefront. I would do the same with Nightwing as the kind of the lead Bat family solo comic. That would kind of be my way of pushing him to the forefront. Let's start with Marvel. Jay, let's start with you on the Marvel. Who you got as your first solo title?
How do you not do Amazing Spider-Man? He's the boy, man. He's the face of the company, and it is the one Marvel book that when it comes out, it's the first one I read.
Peter, is this Peter Parker? I'm assuming.
Yes, Peter Parker. Yes.
Okay. Jay, what you got?
I just went.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. E.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Man, you had a Nas.
I did pull a Nas.
If you're going to relaunch the Marvel, Universe, I've heard it said several times, you have to have Stan Lee's favorite character that he written, and that is Daredevil. You have to give Stan props, and by writing Daredevil as one of your main titles, if you're going to come back out, is a good way to do it. He's also a very street level character who has a lot of adaptation to blend in with the other characters and to blend in with society on a human level.
Okay. Oz.
Blue Marvel Space Adventures.
Wow. Okay, I like that. I think I'm going to surprise everyone with this pick. I am going with Mystique. And the reason I choose Mystique is I would do a very undercover spy type series with her. I think she is a character who could very easily... First of all, I'm not going to have an X-Men comic because I'm just going to have X-Men spread out through the Marvel Universe. So there won't be an X-Men comic until there's a demand for that. But Mystique would be a character that I would kind of start. She would be a strong female character. She could kind of play the anti-hero. You don't know which way she's going to go. I think there's a lot of potential with Mystique, especially if you kind of revamp her for a newer generation.
Okay.
Oz, let's start with you. DC character.
I kind of had. I don't think this would work as an ongoing long series, but a lot of my things were based off of just kind of like a maxi series, and it's a Lady Shiva Origins.
That's you know I'm a Lady Shiva guy, so that's right. That sounds very intriguing. I like that.
Yeah, and the premise behind that would just be from basically like from her first encounter into the martial arts world to her becoming who she is, Lady Shiva, and the why of it all too.
Okay, Jay.
DC. I'm gonna go with Hawkman. I don't know if you've read the new Hawkman title. I've never cared for Hawkman until I started reading this. People don't, or to me, by what I understand, are very drawn away from Hawkman because they don't understand his origin. His origin's been everywhere due to reincarnation.
Yeah.
This series wraps it up perfectly, and you don't have to read anything. And the way it's written, I think it's one of DC's books that is very under the radar that people are missing out with. And if it wouldn't have been for Dark Knight's Metal, I would never read it. I like Hawkman. He's basically, to me, like the Wolverine of DC.
Okay, nice.
E.
This is my simplest of answers. It's just because you have to have this character, I think, for a DC brand to survive, and that is your Boy Scout Superman. Now, I would do more of a Clark Kent Superman. I would tackle it different. I would have more of him as a news reporter and Superman on the back end of that, because I think that I love Smallville, as JVD knows, and it's because of all the Clark Kent stuff in it. I think he's a very interesting character, and they kind of always use him as a backlight when he should be the forefront of the character. I would write him as Clark Kent and can be Superman when needed. That's how I would roll with it.
Okay. Sticking with the ladies, I'm going with Black Canary. I think she's a great pillar to kind of build on. Obviously, Green Arrow would, be very frequent in the story, so that's an easy tie-in. She would definitely have ties with the Justice League, so that's an easy tie-in. And I think she is another strong female character that can definitely be a lead character, and I think it's someone who also can be revamped for the newer generation. Let's start with Evan, Marvel character.
Marvel character. My second Marvel character on my list is going to be Iron Man. Iron Man is my favorite character in all of comic books, and he's great. But on this particular Iron Man, you still have Iron Man, Tony Stark, but you have a lot of guest appearances that he can train to wear the armor, so you get some other characters into his comic books to have interaction with, and then they can also be Iron Man. That's how I would go about Iron Man.
Oz, what you got?
I had
here we go.
Yeah, I had a while ago. X-Force used to have they used to use Cannonball, and Cannonball was called an External, and the Externals were a group of mutants who were like immortals, and it was a really cool storyline. I was like, man, this is really cool. And Cable was like, oh yeah, I was sitting here because of you too, Sam. And they just totally forgot about that storyline and said, don't worry about it. No one will remember it. Well, I remembered it. So I wanted to get Cannonball and explore him in the future as an external immortal and just see where that came out of.
Okay.
That's a good pick. Cannonball has a lot of feats that nobody knows about.
Well, and I want to say this too. I read another Cannonball, like What If, and they always have him as a stupid redneck. I'm like, he's not this crazy redneck. He's a leader. He's got really amazing powers. He's super smart, and his whole family is a group of freaking mutants, man. So that's all for that.
Jay, what you got?
I am taking the good doctor. Dr. Doom.
Okay.
For Marvel. But the thing is, I kind of treat him like Iron Man in a way. I really like reading Iron Man because his character is one that constantly evolves due to his armor. And so it's almost like you're kind of reading a different character every time based on abilities and capabilities. And I think if you wrote Dr. Doom like that, and based on his character, there's a lot. He's the perfect combination of Iron Man and Doctor Strange. So you can pull from both of those realities, science and technology and magic. And I think he would make a very good character if wrote right. And it seems every time Marvel does it, they do it wrong. I have some good ideas that I think would be great, but maybe that's just me.
Okay. They always try with him, and he
yes,
it is that perfect melding of it's either they both are either science or they both are either magic, and I love that idea. They tried before where they had him either he's like this insect looking Dr. Doom, or they actually did a Council of Dooms before that was really cool. But yeah, I love that. That's real smart.
I went with Captain America. Now, this plays into my big event, which I will get into later. But this Captain America series will be about Steve Rogers training Sam Wilson. You'll find out the reasoning why later on, as to why he's training him and why there's this kind of frantic pace. But let's just say he's seen his future, and that will play out in my big event coming up. But this is a Captain America comic. Steve Rogers and Sam Wilson will definitely be the two leads. It'll be about him passing the mantle, training Sam Wilson, getting him ready. Bucky will definitely show up in it, and so that's my story right there for Marvel.
I like it.
Yeah, and Sam going, Steve, why are you training me so hard? And Steve's like, well, I know I'm a super soldier, but you can talk to birds. Yes, it's great.
Hey, you laugh, and then all of a sudden all these birds just come and attack you when you're coming out the grocery store. You got a handful of groceries.
So, Sam, we need you. We have a problem. We have a problem only Captain America can solve. We're having a huge barbecue, and we need a bunch of pigeons. I'm on it.
Hey, Tony Stark's like, hey, Sam, I got a bird I can't get out of my house. You mind coming over and talking to it and getting it out of it?
Yeah, and the bird's like, yo, this is a mansion. I'm not leaving this house, dude.
Oh, man. Jay, let's go back to... Actually, let's stick in Marvel. Give me your next Marvel comic.
I'm going Thanos. Thanos reaches out to the cosmic realm and the Earth. And Thanos is a book that everybody shows up. He fights the Avengers, fights the X-Men, fights Fantastic Four. He fights the Shi'ar Empire. He fights the Guardians. He takes on the Kree, the Skrulls. He's the one character that can run a solo title that you can literally bring every single powerful character in just to face him. And he really don't have to have his own rogues gallery. The entire Marvel Universe is his rogues gallery.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and he's been played on both sides of it, where you see him go up against God Emperor Doom, and Doom just rips out his like skull and his spine.
Yes,
but then you see him go against the entire Marvel universe, where he's got the Hulk as his pet, and this like and the Hulk lives in this little like Hulk doghouse full of nothing but his old friend's bones. So I see that. Yeah, it's good.
But see, I want my Thanos more like Jim Stark, though, like where he's all about like the fabric of the cosmos and makes the cosmo tick and what gives like the Celestials and all that life and whatnot. And then once he mingles in something, obviously some hero or whatnot comes to try to stop him, you know.
Oz.
I have been unfortunately really like Jonathan Hickman has been tweaking my brain out with this whole House of M stuff. Not with Powers of M. And so my thought was Marvel series based on Mr. Sinister, and it's called The Secret History, from him being a human who wants to turn himself into a mutant, all the way to the end where the advanced humans, he betrays the mutants and he is executed by the humans. But I like to get the secret history of him, where you see him meddling not with just the Summers and the Jean Greys, but with everybody, like Wolverine, all through the future and everything. That's what I love to see.
Okay. E.
You got to have a villain, and this is definitely a villain, but he can be portrayed as a good guy as well, and that is Loki. I believe that you need a godlike being if you're going to start a comic book, and why not have one that can appear to be godly for 6 to 7 issues before you find out he's actually a bad guy. He's a master of trickery for a reason and mischief, and you need that in comic books to create good story arcs. So I would go with Loki.
I have a question real quick.
Yes.
I'm just curious. Do you think that Loki is bad because of like his nature of who he really, really is, or do you think he's bad because he wasn't really told who he was in the beginning?
I think Loki is a bad character because of jealousy. I think he's always been jealous of Thor, and I think at one point he thought he was the favorite and he was going to be, and jealousy turned his heart cold black, and then when he found out what he really was and where he came from, it just anchored it more and it sunk to the bottom of the ocean. I think he would never be able to be a good person.
That was awesome.
Okay.
I need to write this in a journal.
Right.
That was awesome.
Hey, don't worry.
That was so good.
Hey, don't worry. This will be put out for the world to listen. So somebody's going to steal this idea. You better
wait.
copywriting.
Once again, if Regular Scott actually records this.
Yeah, touche. Shots fired, but I earned that one. So my Marvel character is going to be the Invisible Woman.
Yes.
I'm not going to introduce the full Fantastic Four yet. This will kind of be the gateway to that. My story kind of sets out with her on her own. You don't know why they're not around. There's no mention of them. She's just kind of doing her own thing. Don't really know who I would make it the main villain, but I know I want her to kind of be one of the main women at the forefront. Like, you know, she's going to play a big role in the big crossover at the end as well. So, because I've heard, these last few weeks, Oz and myself, we've talked about Invisible Woman. She's come up just in, what we've talked about on the show, and her power scale is just so underrated, and people have no idea the damage she can do without thinking about it. So I think she'd be lethal. Yeah, I think she'd be very lethal. This could be your more grittier comic. She could be on some Punisher type stuff, and putting some air bubbles in your airwaves, and you ain't breathing no more.
Hey, regular Scott. There's that whole when Wolverine got brainwashed by the Hand storyline. What if like the Invisible Woman gets brainwashed by the Hand or taken by S.H.I.E.L.D. and turned into a spy?
Hey, all that is possible. But yeah, Invisible Woman
That's
would
great.
definitely be my single title, and she would be the kind of gateway to the Fantastic. Because obviously, there's going to be a Fantastic Four, and she would be that gateway there.
Hey, I'm going to interject on what you two just said, and spoiler alert.
Oh, my man. That's what I'm talking about.
You were just talking about Wolverine and the Mistake, Oz. You're talking about Invisible Woman. Have you ever read What If Wolverine and Enemy of the State, where they keep control of him and he fights the Invisible Woman?
JBD, it is one of my favorite comics in the universe.
The way they defeat him is so damn awesome.
But before they do,
you need to find it and read it. It is.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
That's awesome. Jay, let's go ahead and go with you. What's your DC single character?
I'm going to go with DC's favorite punching bag, a character I think gets disrespected quite often. Despite their level of power, they need a bigger spotlight in DC, and it does not need to be on Earth. It needs to be in the cosmos, and that's Martian Manhunter.
Oh, go ahead, dude. Yeah.
And Martian Manhunter should be out there. At first, I wanted to, when we were talking about like team up books, I was going to have him and Hal Jordan in space. That's what I was going to do, but he is a perfect solo character that I think they drop the ball on quite often. Like anytime you need a hero to fight a more powerful hero, and like a hero needs to get beat down, they usually do that with Martian Manhunter. But I think like with his he's the Justice League in one character.
Mm-hmm.
He's the type of character that could go out and literally take on a cosmic threat, and by himself. And he's so obsessed with life due to his background. I would like to see him going in each arc be a different planet and exploring it. And maybe it's a war-torn planet he wants to bring peace to. Maybe it's a desolate planet that needs life, and with his capabilities, he brings life to this planet. And maybe they see him as a god. And I think doing stuff like that, that character would be really, really interesting.
That's smart. That would be a great series.
And then in my Marvel vs. DC crossover, he fights Thanos.
That's very nice. Make sure nobody lights awesome. No matches, though.
Yeah. I mean, it's all psychological.
True that. E, what you got?
For mine, if you can't tell the DC trend here, it's usually the more popular characters, but it's my favorite incarnations of it. And I guess you really couldn't call this a what if, but I am going to change something. My third character is Wonder Woman, and if I could make it to where she never left the island, so she's trained as a warrior and hardened as a warrior. You have your Wonder Woman with your sword and your shield, which is my favorite Wonder Woman. Mm-hmm. Charging on the battlefield. Every issue is all about formations and how to train and how to fight. And it'd be a great series to see her as a teacher, training all these young Amazon women how to be battle hardened and how to do all that stuff. And plus, anybody that knows me, I love like Viking history and medieval, and you get all of that if you keep it in the place where she's from. You don't have her coming out of there. So have a very teacher but a hardy book with a lot of war and violence in it, sword and shield. It'd be great.
You can absolutely make those little changes. I mean, Oz only has like a six-issue comic series coming out, so he didn't change the whole narrative of the thing.
I do have, on top of this, each of all the solos and the teams and everything I put them in, I also have a story arc for each of those to start the universe out, but we'll say that when we get done.
Okay. Oz, what you got for the DC character?
Before I pick mine, I also want to just piggyback on JVD. An easy fix for that flame thing is, and also to get him out into the universe is, the flame was psychological, the fire was psychological, but once he was able to break that, he was able to venture out of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a great jumping point onto that, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing they've done with him since like the New 52 started.
Yeah, I love it. Mine again. Sorry, it is a 6-issue, 12-issue one. Don't need to. It is straight up, and it's not a what if. It's just straight up Deathstroke versus the DC universe. I want to see him go up against every.
Well, I can't wait to see what your big event crossover is going to be. If that's your your regular series.
Well, I want to see like some weird like Lex Luthor just be like, here, I'm sick of this. Here's $1 billion. Take these people out, and I want to see him go up against Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman.
You want the God Killer storyline?
Well, I did, but.
That's pretty much what he did. He went up against just about everybody.
Oh, but he didn't go up against Superman though. I want the real, true, gritty fights. Not just him like punching Zatanna in the throat so she can't talk.
No, he fought Superman, Wonder Woman, and I think it was the Rebirth run.
Anyone? Yeah, he did.
Oh, that's yeah. Okay, I was just making sure. I thought he did. Yeah, he fought everybody in the Rebirth run.
In some of our crossover collisions, we talk about some of the armor that Deathstroke's used before that can withstand punches from Superman because he used it against him.
Yeah, he got on armor in the I know it's not God Blades, it's something like that. But yeah, like he was fighting the Flash, he was fighting Superman, he was fighting Wonder Woman. Like he was ungodly there for a while. Like everybody was hunting him down.
Isn't it the God Killer? Is it the God Killer?
Yes, it's the God Killer. Yeah,
there you go.
Said God Killer. I'm like, no, that's the Iron Man armor stuff. But yes, you're right. It is God Killer. Yeah,
that was mine.
Okay. No, I do like that though. I think that'd be dope. I'm not saying it wouldn't be dope. I was just wondering. I'm just saying, like, I can't wait to hear what you have stored for your like big crossover. If that's just your regular.
No, he's just like here's my. I mean, your story is awesome. I mean, you should have chose that. But mine.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
No. Mine is basically he's contracted to take these people out in various ways.
All right, so. I got you. My DC story is going to be called Damian, and this one will be about Damian Wayne. This will be about his life before he finds out that he's Bruce Wayne's son. He'll be living with Talia, and you'll see Ra's and that lifestyle, and that'll kind of be that story. And, it'll build towards him finding out who he is and him seeking out Bruce on his own instead of Talia bringing him to him. I'm going to change that a little bit. But, yeah, that's where I'm going. And that'll be geared a little bit. I think he'll kind of draw some of the more teenage, hopefully. I would want him to draw more of the teenage comic reader. And hopefully he would be able to do that and kind of draw off the Batman name, whatnot, and let it be more about Damian than, Damian Robin, and kind of build him that way. Build to him becoming Robin.
Oh, yeah.
Something different, instead of, and I think it would be cool to see how his training was before he got to Bruce, kind of see a little bit more in depth about that, his relationships with Ra's, with Talia, you know what I mean? Different things like that. A lot of different elements you can throw in there. You could even throw Lady Shiva in there if you want to have an appearance from her. Yeah, I'd probably do that.
Why?
Just to do it. I'd figure out a way to sneak her in there. It's my comic. I can do what I want. It's my story.
True that. Very true.
Oh, yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, do what I want. Oz, what you got? Let's go back to Marvel.
Yeah, we should, because my Marvel story is because it's been the running theme, although subliminally it's been a running current, riptide, as you say. Old man Shang-Chi.
Okay.
I like that aspect.
And so here it is. You got your old man Quill. I dig it. Your old man Logan, cool. And the ladies, I'm sorry about all these old men. And you get your old man Hawkeye. I need to see my old man Shane because I know he survived, and because if the Hawkeye survived, the Shane can survive too. So, okay. And it doesn't necessarily. It doesn't have to be. Sorry for this. It doesn't have to be a revenge story where he's going to go and kill some more. It could just be a little bit more about like what happened, where he was, and yeah, I don't know. There's something with that to me.
Okay, E, what you got?
We're going Marvel here still. Okay. We're going with the Incredible Hulk because I think that he's important. But I wouldn't say I'm changing anything about him. I just put on my notes, really focus on science and horror. Because I think those are the two, besides him being a big Hulk brute, the biggest things about the Hulk that makes him so cool is the science aspect and then the horror aspect, which is him as Bruce Banner as a scientist looking for a cure, because whenever he hulks out in my Hulk book, he completely, like old school, he loses control. He turns into a monster, and a lot of people are going to think he is more villainous in the beginning of this relaunch. And whenever he hulks out, the color schemes have to change. Like when it's all scientific, it's a bunch of whites and lights and study process. But once he turns into the Hulk, the pages get darker. It gets more grim. Really focus on the monster aspect of the Hulk is where I'm going with.
You keep the day and nighttime like they brought back during Immortal Hulk, like nighttime is Hulk's time.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know if you guys have read Immortal Hulk, but
is it good? Is it good?
Dude, it will blow your mind.
Because I know it goes into a little bit of the premise of spoiler alert of that, like the Hulk God, is that right, and everything too?
Man, I have not read it since I think issue 26. They started doing some eco, like not to offend anybody, but like social justice warrior stuff. And kind of, but before then, they were exploring the personalities of the Hulk and like what it takes for them to come out and whatnot. And it looks, how I was taking for it before it ended, Hulk that was in control was Devil Hulk.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
And then, like at certain times, depending on what was going on, a different Hulk would take over. Like, okay, I'm Banner. I don't know where I'm at. I'm lost. It's daytime. Banner, all of a sudden, he wakes up and he's in a nice room. He's like, "What's going on?" And he looks in the mirror, and who's he see? It's Joe Fixit. He's like, "Yeah, I hooked you up with some of the money I've got stashed in a bank in Vegas. Bought you some new clothes," and he'll be dressed in like a tight suit and whatnot. But if you look at the book, every time there's a reflection, you will see the Hulk staring back at Banner, and it'll just be just a random panel, and you'll just be looking, but there'll be a reflection like in the bottom corner, and you'll see the Hulk watching Banner. It's really, really good.
I gotta start reading those because I always like, and my thing on the Hulk was I love when he was Smart Hulk. And because like there's one really good story where the leader invented the I forget what they're called, but they're indestructible. And Smart Hulk was getting beat up real bad by him, and he's like, "How do you defeat them?" And the leaders laugh at him, and the leader's like, "Oh, the Raging Hulk would just keep raging on him until there's nothing left of him." So yeah, that's cool, man. That's very cool.
Yeah, you should read, man. It is.
I will start reading some. Yeah, that's good.
That's good.
Actually, Jay, let's go to you.
We're right, Marvel, right?
Marvel.
I am going with my boy, my favorite character from Marvel that I don't think ever gets any respect, and I'm going with Iron Fist. I think the problem with Iron Fist is that they don't write him within his element of mystical kung fu. I don't know if you've ever read Immortal Iron Fist, but if you haven't, shame on you. It's amazing, and that's what the character should be about. Spoiler alert. It's almost Mortal Kombat style. He gets called to come, and they have the tournament of the 7 cities of heaven to see who gets the gateway to Earth. There needs to be more about Iron Fist and all these other 7 cities.
And Cobra.
And what entails and whatnot. And if Marvel, if you'll hire me, I already have all this mapped out, how it's going to go. I got new characters written out for you. But basically, it needs to be written and treated how Thor is treated with the 9 realms. Iron Fist needs to be treated like that with the 7 cities of heaven.
I appreciate you thinking that Marvel listens to our podcast.
I do have their logo, which could cause some copyright issues. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah, and for on both sides, Marvel and DC sues us. I would just say this, and that's awesome, JVD, and I don't, I'm conflicted. I can't say what mine is because I'm going to be accused of piggybacking, and I literally, hey, regular Scott, I'm going to text you my list that I wrote down, and you're going to see what the last one is not crossed off, and it's Iron Fist. I'm over it, dude. I got nothing left to say.
Okay, well, you should have saved that because you weren't supposed to go because it's not your turn.
But yeah, like I've got a confession here. Like I realized that I did this totally different from everybody else, so I rewrote my entire list and changed it on the fly. So.
But hey, listen, man. The whole Fat Cobra, all those different cities. That's brilliant, man. Because they have not been properly explored. Because they all have different mystical properties too.
Exactly. You go back to the Prince of Orphans and how he worked with Captain.
Yes.
In World War II, and a lot of people don't realize you got some of the champions of the city in the Iron Fist TV show if you paid attention. You got Dog Brother. You got the Bride of Nine Spiders.
Right.
Like when he did the little tournament through the building that they kind of had him do, that's where those characters come from, and a lot of people didn't realize that's who those guys were. So you're like, fucking raging hormones, like, oh my God, they're bringing these guys in, and then, well, the series was what it was.
Yeah, and what about when you had like the whole kingdom of just like. The woman who's the assassin, who's awesome, but she learns that her father is a liar. Her mother was really the one. Yeah, there's so much stuff with Iron Fist. It's really smart. Yeah, and if people don't believe it, there was Iron Fist a million years ago.
So
true that.
Yeah.
So my Marvel character is Iceman.
Ooh.
And I'm not gonna do an X-Men comic. I think this is a good way to introduce different X-Men. He's an Omega level X-Men, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, he is.
He's an Omega level X-Men that people don't really realize how strong he is, and he's a gay character. So I think that just adds to it. Okay. Let's go back to DC. Let's go E.
Oh, wait, we didn't finish Marvel, homie.
Who didn't go?
I didn't really get a chance to get my Marvel out, but I was going to say Iron Fist again, but I had the whole series planned out.
But Marvel, that's your last Marvel, right?
Yeah.
When we get back to it, everybody will get to give their last Marvel.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Let's go back to the DC. E, what you got?
My DC, I'm going to go with Green Lantern. And that book is not going to be over one particular Green Lantern. It's going to change out each story arc with like Hal Jordan and Kyle Rayner and John Stewart and Guy Gardner. And as you change them all out, they will have spots in the book where they're like talking to like a command center type thing, and everybody will know it's going to be like the Green Lantern Corps. And eventually, towards the end of the first year or the first run, they will all go there, and you will see them in full force, and they will go to take on the major story arc.
Okay, Jay, what you got?
I'm going to keep. I always think that comics always need a good villain book. Mm-hmm. There's not enough of them, and much like I chose Thanos, I'm going to go with his DC counterpart. I'm going to go with Darkseid.
There you go.
If I don't know if anybody's ever read Earth 2 from New 52 and then Earth's End, where basically it's about Earth 2 dealing with Darkseid coming, and before all the Darkseid war happened on Earth. And I would like to see a series based through his eyes, where he's going from planet to planet, conquering planets, and maybe even stretching out to some of these other multiverses. How awesome would it be to see the Dark Knights of Barbatos, as badass as they look, square off against Darkseid as a team? And I would like to see a series where he was like, all right, well, if they're dealing with this dark multiverse and it's going to affect me, I'm just going to go to the dark multiverse myself and try to, beat everything myself. So, yeah, I would like to see a book through Darkseid's eyes. Thanos sells very well every time Marvel does it. DC really needs to do something like that.
And everybody loves the Conqueror. And man, like Jay, just from and Evan, you said it too. That Earth 2 was so really amazing, and of course, Black Superman. But the thing that really stuck out about that series to me was when they were fighting, when the Earth heroes had to fight Darkseid. Superman, it's an older Superman, older Batman. Mm-hmm. Superman went to every single superhero and talked to him in a different cadence to calm them down. Before, like the big talk before the fight, that when I read that little line, I was like, God, that's really crazy. That was a cool storyline. That was very cool.
Yeah, but I mean, think about him going to other planets and while the minions of Apocalypse are fighting the planets, Darkseid's battling their gods.
Yeah, because he's a god. Yeah,
pretty much. I mean, I think that would be really cool. You basically take the way you see Thor when Thor's written really well and flip it and make it Darkseid.
Okay.
And eventually, in my Martian Manhunter book, so.
Well, they're going to have to meet eventually,
Yeah.
Especially with that anti-life equation. And yeah, that's so smart, man. That's awesome.
Oz, what you got?
All right. So I had a friend that hit me to this comic about a decade ago. And I read it every year. It's tweaked my brain out along with The Watchmen. And it's called Zombie. And mine is just Zombie Story Arc Part 2. I have to figure out what the idea is, but that story needs to be revamped again. It's so good. People need to read it. So,
okay. I am going with Jon Stewart. First issue, Hal Jordan dies. That's how we get started there.
Oh man!
Wow, he don't even get his own ring. He takes it off of a dead guy.
It's all bloody.
It'll eventually go to him, but Hal Jordan is going to die at the end of the first issue. You think it's going to be Hal Jordan's series, and he dies on the last page.
Hey, you know what'd be really cool about that? Because they're both military guys. They're in a big battle, and Hal Jordan disappears. He becomes a Green Lantern. He's in a galactic war, realizes he's dying. Who's the next best soldier he knows? Passes the ring on to John.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Jay, what you got? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, let's go back to Marvel and Jay, what you got for Marvel?
Wait, hold on, Evan. Did you say yours?
Yeah. Hold on.
No, I don't think you did.
No, I haven't said mine yet.
Hey, hold on. Hey, I apologize for this guy.
Didn't you say?
Evan, what's yours?
Wait, we're on Marvel, the last one, right?
Yeah.
No. We just did DC. Yeah, we'd be flipping to Marvel.
Oh yeah, I already did my DC one.
Yeah, I know you did. So, Oz,
you got me all messed up.
This is why I host, and you just answer the questions. Okay. Like I said, Jay, where we going for Marvel?
I personally want to do a Doctor Strange book. We were talking this multiverse of madness and whatnot, but I don't want it based off of per se Dr. Stephen Strange. I want my Doctor Strange much like where Evan was talking about with the Green Lantern, but it be a different character from a different multiverse.
That'd be cool.
Eventually, you could have these guys tie in. For instance, I don't know if any of you guys in the recent Secret Wars seen where there was a Punisher Doctor Strange who eventually passed the mantle to Wolverine. And it was insane. It was really, really cool. I thought it was really cool. And here's the thing. If you read Jason Aaron's Doctor Strange right after Secret Wars, that's kind of what was going on. He was going around meeting all these other Sorcerer Supremes from all these other worlds because they thought magic was dying. So,
right.
I think it'd be really cool if you had just every arc is about a different Sorcerer Supreme from a different dimension. And even if you wanted some big arc at the end of it, it could all be centered around one artifact from that's from each dimension, but the same thing that needs to be made one. Almost kind of like its own Infinity Gauntlet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oz, what you got for Marvel? Iron Fist. E, what you got for Marvel?
Wow. I'd like to elaborate a little bit more because JVD had a really great thing. Yeah, again, all the cities haven't been explored, the premises behind the cities, what the dragons represent. That it's untapped and waiting to happen.
E, what you got for Marvel?
All right, so for Marvel, I'm going with the Fantastic Four. But I do have to change one of the members out. Human Torch is going to get dropped off the team for me, and I'm adding in Ghost Rider. I feel like that team will give you a lot of interesting stories. It'll be able to go cosmic or it can go street level. And when you add in the Ghost Rider's ability and the Spirit of Vengeance with the scientific thing, you can have a lot of cool stuff. And in the comics that are current now, Ghost Rider, he's been Cosmic Ghost Rider before and regular Ghost Rider. There's a couple different ones. But how cool would it be to see the Thing and Ghost Rider do their own version of the fastball special, where the Thing throws the whole motorcycle with Ghost Rider on top of it? That's all I got to say.
Okay.
That sounds so crazy because, you never get the Fantastic Four tapping really into the mystical stuff when they should, since they fight Dr. Doom.
Yeah, very true. Which Ghost Rider are you using?
Probably Johnny Blaze. I like him the best.
I was going to use the Nicolas Cage one.
Oh my! No, Lord, no, he's Superman, right?
Yeah,
no doubt.
You're right.
Definitely Superman. My Marvel character that's pretty self-explanatory would be Spider-Man. Peter Parker. Miles Morales will eventually show up, but we'll start it off with a older, broken Peter Parker. Him and Mary Jane will be divorced. Peter will be depressed.
Dude, what's wrong with you?
Wait, you just took Spider-Man from Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly what I'm doing. That's exactly the character I'm going with too. Let him be broken and show his descent. Miles Morales will just pop out of nowhere and be like, "Where am I at?" There we go. It'll be just like it'll literally just be just like Into the Spider-Verse.
But then Miles goes to high school and sees this cute little blonde. Doesn't really know where she is, but has a real attraction to her. I like it. Good idea.
Yeah. Let's finish off the DC. Oz, who's your last DC?
We haven't finished off DC yet.
We got one more.
Yeah, one more.
Oh, I thought I said I thought I blew my wad.
Nope, you didn't.
Well, I said
this guy's shooting blanks. What you got?
Dang. Okay.
Well, if I had a copy of Oz's paper, it says Nightwing down on the fifth one. I don't know.
but no. It's Nightwing actually. There's a crossover into Marvel, and he is in a relationship with Iceman.
That's good.
Oh man, that really hurt me.
Yeah, that's good.
No, my last DC character is Flash, Barry Allen, because you need the Speed Force, I think, and in my particular storyline for them, I'll talk about it a little bit. The Speed Force is a big element in that.
Okay. Jay, what you got?
I kind of held back because Evan picked Wonder Woman earlier, but I'm using Wonder Woman here in my last one. But my Wonder Woman is never involved much like Evan had with Earth. My Wonder Woman is the general of the forces of Greek mythology going to war with all the other pantheons that's been throughout history. So therefore, due to her, that's why all these pantheons have fallen off throughout history. It's because all the Greek pantheons have been destroying them. And I would leave it all.
I like that a lot.
Modern day. And I don't know how she would face the forces of Jesus and the Holy Trinity or whatnot. But yeah, that was my idea. Because the gods have been around forever and they help form man. And then each god was like, well, I'm going to take this section of the earth and create my own empire. And I'm going to take this section. I'm taking a comic book idea I actually really have that I created years ago. And basically, she's the general for Zeus's armies, and she goes to war against all the other pantheons.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little bit like God is Dead, the comic. And also, it could get really super interesting because in some circles they said that the Roman gods replaced the Greek gods, who replaced the Egyptian gods.
Yeah,
that's so smart. It's so good. That's really good.
And it also gives me a reason to work at DC and have Thor versus Wonder Woman.
Yes.
My DC is Suicide Squad, and every villain that's captured in my other solo arcs will be put into this comic, and you'll just see different villains pop up randomly, and they'll show up from the other solo comics. And that way we kind of keep fresh faces in there, and if a villain breaks out, he'll break out and probably show up in one of those solo comics. That way you kind of keep everybody connected and whatnot. So that'll be my fifth DC solo title. Now,
so hold up. I got a question here before we move on. So by solo characters, you and Evan introduced teams at the end, but we can do teams the entire time.
Well, to be fair, it's going to be titled Suicide Squad, but the lead character will be Amanda Waller in every issue.
Yeah.
And it'll almost be like she's just almost has a different squad to deal with every issue type deal.
Because I was about to say, man, I changed my whole thing for nothing.
No, she would be the solo character who's like the main one, but it would go under the Suicide name moniker, and that way it's an easy way to get different characters to kind of show up and whatnot.
And it's also a different perspective to deal, based on your typical comic too.
Right, something a little different, but I guess technically it is kind of cheating though too. I guess I did cheat.
It is totally cheating.
So my question is,
you don't even have a fifth, so
yeah. So are we doing like team ups as in duos or a whole team?
So when I was thinking team up, I was thinking like Justice League, Defenders, Avengers.
Okay, see.
I've been doing two people.
I did two people.
But that's a team up too. Like Heroes for Hire is a team.
Well, see, like when you said solo titles, I was thinking like, okay, this is a solo title, Avengers, and then when we were on, I'm like, oh, we're doing just solo characters. So I switched to can do either or because I have my stuff in the last list, so I'm good.
Okay, well let's get to our team ups then. Let's start with the DC universe. Jay, what you got for your team up? Your two team ups.
Okay.
Actually, you go ahead and give them both. What are your two team ups?
Oh, you want me to do both two team ups? Okay, the first
DCs.
one, obviously, you've got to have a Justice League, obviously. My Justice League is Wonder Woman, even though that I wasn't going to do that in the beginning because I went solo with her. I was going to use Aquaman, Hawkman, Black Canary, Green Arrow, Mr. Terrific, and Zatanna. A little bit of spice spread out through the whole thing. My other book is actually a duo book, and it's I don't think you get a better duo in DC, and that is Hal Jordan and Barry Allen.
Okay.
I think
I do like that.
I every time them two team up, it's really, really good. And
The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, here in the last Flash story, they had a really good team up. That was pretty awesome. I cut out the team up of Black Adam and Dr. Fate.
Okay.
You know what? I'm going to run with that. That is my other two team because I had a big storyline I was sitting here building in my head when I was doing all this. Black Adam and Dr. Fate.
All right. Oz, what you got for your team up? Your two teams.
I have one team up, and it's pretty simple. And it's
you don't have two?
Nope, it's Lex Luthor and Mr. Terrific versus the DC Universe.
So almost every one of your stories is your character versus the DC Universe.
I've been recently reading. I've been reading like Wolverine. I read the whole Wolverine takes over the hand. It's taken by the hand, that thing, and then read Deadpool in just been on this kick, so that's my thing. I would love to see a Lex Luthor and Mr. Terrific just be devious about stuff.
That's what you want to see every character so far do.
Not every character. Just
eventually all his stuff works to a crossover. So
eventually, right? Eventually they have to because they're going to kill everybody. So it's going to only be them 3 left.
Hey! If you want to make your own comic, like you said, make your own comic, bro. You asked me what I wanted to do, so I want to give you what I want to.
That. Hey, you can do that.
No, listen.
You can do that.
Hey, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got them, and some are pretty shitty. But I just want to give you mine. Okay.
True that. You need to wipe it. E, what you got?
For my DC team ups, my first one, I just got to throw it on there because I watched a lot of it, and it's actually for my nephew, Raiden. He loves Teen Titans, so I got to go with Beast Boy and Robin. Or we can go Beast Boy and Cyborg, Beast Boy. Any combo from that would be great for the first team up. The second one is more a serious one. I would like to see actually a book over the League of Assassins, teaming up with like somebody from another Batman villain. Like each one have somebody where they're going to Ra's for answers or for help and working together. And getting into the system of Gotham City, like going into the officials, going into the police force, have like a spy in every angle led through the League of Assassins. Have a book about that. That'd be cool, I think.
Okay. My team up would be a Detective Comics. And Batman would very rarely show up. But my main 3 would be Mr. Terrific, Tim Drake, and Batwoman. It would be very heavily about detective work, and really a way for Tim Drake and Mr. Terrific to kind of shine in that element. I would probably have Batwoman as the leader of the 3, just because I think
Mr. Terrific, huh?
Yeah, I like Mr. Terrific. I would have him in there in the with Tim Drake and Batwoman. That would be my team up.
Yeah, he's a good character, huh? Yeah.
Well, it's not like I knew your list beforehand. Like I didn't just make this list up as you said it.
It's not like you're piggybacking on what I said.
Because I don't have Lex Luthor anywhere near here.
I know.
And I have 2, so I'm not piggybacking off them. My other one obviously is clearly Justice League. You're going to have Superman, Batman. You're going to have your OG Superman, Batman, Flash, Wonder Woman. You'll probably have like a Guy Gardner or Kyle Rayner in the Green Lantern role in Justice League because I'll have John out doing his own thing, maybe training somewhere or something. That way we can have 2 Green Lanterns as well. And those are my 2 DC team-ups. Let's go to the Marvel team-ups. Oz, I'm sure you only have one in this one too. What's your one Marvel team-up?
Spy series. On the vein of Secret Warriors and such, it would be Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Spider-Man, ongoing series, Espionage.
Okay. Do you have 2 or just 1?
I like that one.
I just chose 1. I didn't do 2. But that's my 1.
Yep. E, what you got? What are your 2?
My first is going to be a team up. I don't know if they've teamed up before, but not teamed up in a solo, like a series that ran on forever. It is Captain America and Spider-Man. I think those are 2 characters that go very well together. For number 1, I feel that Captain America can be the mentor that Peter Parker always needed. Number 2, the combo moves they would pull in these comic books are going to be legendary because you can only imagine him ricocheting the shield all the way around, Spider-Man grabbing it with a web and slinging it and hitting somebody with it. All kinds of cool combo moves between the 2 of them, jumping off each other. Number 3 for that would be video games. You can make cool video games with that. New costume designs. Captain America decked out in Spider-Man colors, Spider-Man decked out in Captain America colors. I think them 2 would just have a really cool serious / comedy duo, young and old, teacher and student, just beating the hell out of New York City and saving it from all the bad guys. Number 2 will be Storm and Black Panther team up comic. It will be Marvel's couple, superpowered couple. That also is good movie material, and it is my way to introduce the X-Men into any type of comic book universe or any kind of universe in general. But what I would do is have certain X-Men go on a mission to Wakanda to try to find out where Storm's at, and they'll find out she's secretly been married and with Black Panther, and then they will set up a base of operations in Wakanda, and it'll be crazy. I like it.
Okay. Jay, what you got?
I'm going with a team I wish Marvel would push more often, but I'm kind of using my own iteration of it. I really love the mystical side of Marvel, and I'm going with the Midnight Suns.
I like Midnight Suns.
My Midnight Suns is led by Brother Voodoo, which I think is a character Marvel needs to invest more in.
Mm-hmm.
We have the sibling duo of Hellstrom and Satana. You got to have Blade. And then I'm doing my newly crowned couple in Marvel of Magic and Robbie Ray's Ghost Rider. Yes,
I like that a lot.
I have a pretty cool story about that, but writers like to steal stuff, and I'll keep that to myself. I kind of brought it up on the Lost Tapes episode that never got red lighted, so it's forever lost.
Hey, speaking of Brother Voodoo, he has a bunch of cool team-ups with Gambit in the X-Men books. I have a lot of those. They're great.
So
Down in the Bayou. Oh, yeah.
Down in the Bayou.
Maybe we'll find those lost tapes.
So my second team-up book is a Femme Fatale book, and I am going with Black Widow and Elektra.
Oh.
Yeah.
Those two are lethal.
Yeah, very spy-ish, very assassin-like whatnot, and then every 35 issues, it gets awkward between both women when Daredevil shows up. So, yeah, that's my team-up book. I think them two would work really, really well together.
Nice.
That's cool.
My first team-up will be Wakanda. That'll be the title. Obviously, it'll be about Storm and Black Panther.
Jeez, God, piggyback.
I mean, I can't. I had a title and everything for it. It's such a simple premise that you would think they would have done something with, and I mean they have before, but I don't know why it's something they stop.
Thanks, Evan, for giving me all your ideas.
It's such an easy premise. And then the other one would be obviously the Avengers. That's just the easy one. You can kind of play with who would be in your roster. This will be where you'll find Tony Stark, Carol. This will be like a really super powered group. Like it's going to be Thor, Carol Danvers, Tony Stark, Incredible Hulk. Like you're going to find a lot of your big guns here. So those would be my two team ups. Big event. Well, every one of Oz, we know what Oz is going to be. It's going to be somebody versus the DC Universe when it comes to the DC side. So, Oz, who is facing off against the DC Universe?
Well, let me see in the most disrespectful way I can find, since you've been so disrespectful all this time. It could be a big event or an Elseworld, was my understanding of things. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So my Elseworld for DC is this. I just had an Elseworld, which is pretty simple. This has always been a really weird premise of mine. Is that what if Superman was found by Frederick Douglass and his family in the 1850s, and they decided to move to Canada, and he is raised by an abolitionist, and knowing, but full well going into the man he was going to be. Think about that.
Okay, we'll think about that. Jay, what you got?
It would be so. It would cause just havoc. But anyway,
okay. Jay, what you got?
For my Elseworld for DC, my Elseworld is I am going to keep the Flashpoint world, but I'm going to focus on, I'm flipping it. There is the division between Wonder Woman and Aquaman did not happen. Their marriage strengthened Themyscira and Atlantis. Aquaman finds out that, oh, wow, Wonder Woman, you've been defeating all of these, pantheons. And then they decide together they're going to bring their armies and take on the entire world. Okay. So
with nothing to stop them.
Yeah, so like my Elseworlds for Flashpoint is kind of spins off of my Wonder Woman title, where they're like, well, the only thing left to take over is to make the world ourselves. So, and that's what I'm going with. I really love the Wonder Woman Aquaman storyline in Flashpoint. A lot of stuff from Flashpoint was really good, especially obviously everybody knows the Batman story. The Batman story is amazing.
Well, it's also pretty funny because like your whole premise is like a mix between that Flashpoint and Injustice, which would be great.
Yeah, that's very, very true.
Okay. My big DC event is, I told you my Suicide Squad was going to be taking the villains from each of the titles. When we get the big name villains, the top guns who I would want to fill it out, we would do a Suicide Squad versus Justice League. Very simple premise, very easy. I think you could build to that very well. And depending on how the series are, if they're selling well, some are not, I'm willing to kill off some characters. If I need to kill off a couple older Justice League members to make room because some of these newer names are selling well, then we'll do that. It'll be a business time decision. So, but there will be death. At least 2 major characters will die in this event.
That's not really an Elseworld story, though. It's a Carl story.
Well, no, big event. Elseworld or big event.
There will be death.
See, I thought we were doing both of those, but okay, gotcha, cool.
Yeah. Let's do our Marvel one. I
never got to do my DC, I don't think.
Oh, you're right. You didn't do your DC?
Once again.
Hey, wait a minute. Since we're on it, on the ones gotta go, I never really got to explain why I chose House of M. I got cut off. So I'm just going to throw it out now. But since we're giving our grievances.
Oh, Lord.
My bad. E, what you got?
Hey, you got this one too, Scott?
What'd you say?
Are you going to delete this one with all the mess ups and the grievances?
Wait. Yeah, we have a couple because we got to get E and Jay to explain themselves. So go ahead.
All right. So in my Elseworlds, I'm going to go ahead and combine it with the regular world that I built. And the way this is going to happen is, like I said earlier, the DC universe always seems to mess stuff up when they try to use the Speed Force and Flash to fix things. So Barry Allen, experimenting with the Speed Force, actually pulls in a different reality. And in this Elseworld reality, it is in a reality where Ra's al Ghul is Alfred, and he infiltrates the Wayne Manor, and he brings Bruce back to the Lazarus Pit, and he lives there for a while and trains Bruce in the League of Assassins. By doing this, all of the bad guys that are in the regular Gotham City will actually have to become the good guys, and they will become law enforcement, and they will fight the Bruce Wayne, a.k.a. Batman, that is trained by Alfred, who's actually Ra's al Ghul.
Ooh.
So you could actually, in that world, since you're going to have both of them, you would pull that world into this one, and then Dick Grayson as Batman could fight Bruce Wayne as the League of Assassins head ninja, which you finally get to see who is the more badass of the two, which I picked Dick.
That's actually pretty cool.
It's pretty interesting.
Okay. Jay, go ahead. Oh, bad. Go ahead.
No, I'm good. Never mind.
No, do your thing.
No, I was going to say, that's a really good idea, having Roz come in as Alfred. That's pretty awesome, because he's old enough to be an Alfred.
Yep.
So it kind of reminds me of my favorite D&D books or something that happens. There's a guy who's a major assassin for this league, and he infiltrates a rich family to keep tabs on them. And, and he uses it against the league because he actually develops feelings for the family. Not that your book goes like that, but I'm like, wow, Evan's kind of describing this D&D series that I love. Oh, whoa, he just took a totally left turn. Never mind. So,
yep.
Okay. So let's start the Marvel off. E, let me make sure I start. Let's just start with you. That way I get it right.
Yeah, please.
Man, this world gets the back-to-back for my creativity. Okay, so this is also a combination of Elseworlds with my new world. This is where, in the Elseworlds, Magneto and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, they win. They destroy most of the humans, and the mutants take over in the world. And by doing so, in my world, which there is a Loki, Magneto seeing Loki as a god is the next step of evolution. So he wants to learn about them so he can take over. But Loki, knowing this, mind controls the Hulk and turns him into a rampaging monster. But instead of like in the regular comic book arc where he sends him on Asgard, he sends him towards the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. So you have your big fight there where you have the Hulk, mind controlled by Loki, fighting against Magneto's forces. Amongst all the destruction is where you would have to call in your heroes, which are the Fantastic Four, led by Ghost Rider himself. And your man that needs to figure out a plan, your Daredevil, Stan Lee's main man, he has to go because Iron Man is missing. He's drunk. He's somewhere. He don't have any means to go and help. So Daredevil breaks into Stark Tower, and he gets an Iron Man, and he pilots it without being able to see, which is remarkable and saves the day at the end of the story. Applause.
That is great.
Jay, what you got?
My kind of, I guess for Marvel, is a what if. It's called The Last Stand. And Captain America survives. He winds up defeating the Red Skull, never gets trapped in ice, right? And he winds up helping the Allied forces beat Japan. They never drop the atomic bomb. And there's a lot of pushback against that because Captain America is now becoming this symbol for hope throughout the entire world, right? Well, the U.S., because this is how they are, they like to do stuff behind the people's back, the military and whatnot. They go ahead and they create the gamma bomb. And they accidentally create the Hulk out of Bruce Banner. Bruce Banner is not in control. He never turns back to Bruce Banner. He stays as the Hulk. So what's happened is during all this time, all these heroes have started to show up. And it all starts with the Fantastic Four. When the Hulk kills the Thing, and then he kills the rest of the Fantastic Four. Thor, this god, realizes that he loves this earth. He has to step in. The Hulk kills Thor. And then he goes on this rampage across the world, destroying heroes, destroying villains and whatnot. And it's up to one man to defeat him, and it's Captain America, who goes and picks up Thor's hammer and has this earth-shattering battle against the Hulk.
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So the Hulk in both of our stories tries to destroy the Marvel Universe.
I think the Hulk makes a better villain. The Hulk itself
does.
Makes a better villain than a hero. I'm telling you, read Immortal Hulk. It's what he is. He's a villain.
Yep.
Okay.
So
That's very cool.
Oz, what you got?
Marvel. What can I say? Are you all familiar with the Illuminati?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
They also sent the Hulk away. You know this, right? In a spaceship.
So to bring it back to 2 degrees of separation with the Hulk. So my Marvel story is the Illuminati's having their meeting, like their secret meeting. Well, the meeting that doesn't go so well, and they all express Black Panther, Reed Richards, Tony Stark. They all wind up spilling the beans and telling Namor and Professor X that they know the mutants are the next evolutionary chain and they want to stop it. So all the Sentinels, everything that's been happening to the mutants, even Scarlet Witch has been going along with their plan to halt the mutant progress. And so actually they wind up having the real fight happens with the mutants versus the humans. And you learn the little backstory that Reed Richards actually sent the Fantastic Four up in space because he knew the mutants were coming and he had to have something that the humans needed to fight with. So
I actually like that.
Yeah, so all them and the reason why the Illuminati was founded was to prevent extraterrestrial threats from happening to Earth, but they still needed to keep a check on the mutants though. So
Okay. My Marvel event is titled Weapon X, and pretty much all of Weapon X will be they will be pretty much taking on the Marvel Universe. This will be taking a page out of Oz's book. I'll have Sabretooth, Wolverine, Omega Red. All of them will be a part of probably Lady Deathstrike in there too, maybe.
Don't call it payback in though.
But they'll all be a part of it. They'll fight most of the Marvel Universe, and Captain America will die in this. This will be where the mantle is officially passed to Sam Wilson.
And then Sam Wilson dies immediately afterwards.
No, Sam won't die. So that's my big event. And there you have it. We just gave you a bunch of titles, bunch of crossovers.
Can I just bring something up? I just want to get everybody's opinion on this. Between a fight between Sam Wilson and Bucky for the mantle, who do you guys think will win?
Comic book wise or movie wise?
We'll do comic book. We'll do comic. It's fine.
If it's comic book wise, Bucky will win hands down. But movies, yes. I'm going for Sam.
I see Bucky winning every time. I hope, but okay.
Now the cooler character is Sam with the shield as the Captain Falcon. I can't remember their name when he has the shield and he's flying around with the wings. It's really cool. Sure. Yeah, so that's the cooler image, but not the cooler character in the comic way. So split decision for me.
I say Bucky. Why? Bucky will not hesitate to kill.
Not at all.
That is true.
I mean.
And he's stronger, too.
Yeah, he's stronger. I mean, you look at the arm, I can see it. And here's the thing. Even though Falcon has the advantage to fly, Bucky's a better shot.
And Bucky has literally decades of, killing and fighting experience, where Sam is, he's trained. He's very well trained.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think Sam has ever been caught by Hydra before, I don't think. So he's not corrupted yet.
No.
That we know of.
He's talking to penguins though, but it's fine.
Whatever. All right. This has been it's been a real good conversation, fellas. We appreciate you guys coming on. Time to give our final blows. We will start with our guests, JVD, Evan. Again, this has been a blast. Plug anything you want to plug. Tell them about your show, and give your final blow.
All right, guys. Well, I am Evan the Great. You can follow me on Twitter on Evan the Great TVD. And my final blow is if you get 4 friends and you walk down the hillside towards the cows, great things are going to happen.
The cows are scared, but great things are going to happen.
There you go. Now, my real final blow is anytime you can use your imagination and your storytelling with friends, be it on an audio podcast or video or in real life, just be yourself. That is my thing to the world right now. Be yourself. And I pass it. JVD?
I'm JVD. You can follow me on Villains, man. You can do that. I'm just throwing that out there. But you can follow me on Twitter at Villains Man. Me and Evan host a slew of podcasts. We've got Crossover Collision, Fictional Battle podcast. We have an actual Play D&D podcast called The Last Tavern on the Left. And then me and Hawk have a comic book cinema podcast where we kind of take basically kind of what we kind of just done here is we'll pick a story arc based around a character, and we'll introduce that character through that story arc into the cinematic universes and make what changes we need to based on current timeline. I'm going to take this page out of Mr. Scott's book and plug a podcast that I've been listening to. It's called Next Door Villain. You can follow them at Twitter at Next Door Villain. It's pretty interesting. They take villains throughout movies, TV shows, and cartoons, and they discuss the villain itself, and sometimes they will make you realize that maybe the character they're talking about is not really the villain, it's everyone around them. It's pretty interesting
cool.
podcast.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's very
and
cool.
And also, if you listen to podcasts, whether it's any of the Villains Man podcasts or if it's Take a Knee or anything from Defy Life, like it, share it, spread the word. We as podcasters really appreciate it.
Yes,
and I forgot to say this as well, but he brought up other podcasts. Listening to Take a Knee, I found out when they interview different people and have different open mics, I go and follow their podcast. And y'all had Nerds with Friends, I believe their name is, a couple weeks ago. Immediately, I'm like, holy crap, they have people on here that are hardcore into Dungeons and Dragons like me and JVD are. So I have been listening to their podcast while I do my bike rides every morning, and they are awesome. So if you guys are listening, you have a new subscriber and follower in us, and keep up the good work. Sorry, I forgot to say that earlier.
Yeah, Scott, awesome. It was cool. They showed up in my feed. I'm like, really? They're talking to these guys, and I'd been listening to them for about 3 or 4 weeks now. I'm like, this is going to be interesting. So yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, that's a big part of why I started, doing the open mics was because I was a part of them. People would have me on, especially early on. Me on, and that would really help kind of get the word out. People like, oh, who's this guy from this podcast? So, doing open mics, it's beneficial both ways. We've gotten listeners from a lot of open mics that we do, and hopefully vice versa. So I think that's really cool that you guys have started checking them out. They put out a really good show. They have a really good chemistry between them. They're funny. They tell it how it is, and that's how I like my show. So yeah, that's part of why I do it. To kind of introduce people to other shows they might not have heard before, and sometimes we get good guests that we like to bring back on. So yeah, I'm glad it's doing what it's supposed to do. It's serving its purpose. Oz, what you got for your final blow?
I do have a final blow, but before we do the final blow, JVD never explained why he chose, why he wanted to X out the House of M.
Oh, I'm not that worried about it. I was just grieving around because you were like, hey, I didn't get to do this. You didn't let me explain it. And then you're like, hey, Evan didn't get to explain this. He didn't get to do it. And I'm like, well, damn, I'm going to take advantage of this. And, but do you know why I didn't get to do it? Because Oz cut me off.
Oh, doesn't it all come full circle?
I apologize. I think my mic wasn't working then, so it's fine.
What?
hey, what'd you say? Hello? What'd you say?
Yeah. My final blow. I'm investing. I'm investing my stimulus check into a new microphone.
Oz, can you make your Oz?
Yeah, I think Oz must have laughed.
My 15 followers can hear me fine. So.
Hey, speaking of those 15 followers, I got you like 4 more.
I know. I was like, oh, I'm so close to 20, but I feel like this is the week, though.
The worst part is you've had 2 weeks to do it.
I know.
You're about to have 3 weeks.
Life gets in the way of my fun, but it's okay.
Yeah. Why don't you tell everyone where to follow you at? Do you even know your Twitter handle?
Follow me at Ozzy Real, and that's capital OZZIE, capital REAL.
All right, word up. Yeah, go follow that man.
Oh, I'm sorry. You were trying to play me? But go ahead. Yeah.
I was. Definitely. All that. Thank you guys for being on, JVD, Evan. It's always a pleasure.
Always.
Yeah. You guys can, if you haven't yet, you can check us out on their podcast. We had Nightwing run the gauntlet, and that was a lot of fun. We'll be back on there. Won't spoil what for, but we will be back on there. For my final blow, I do want to give a shout out to Unsupervised, the spinoff. My main man, Money, West Coast J, Hollywood Paul, HP. They extended an offer to us to come on the show. Well, they extended an offer to me, and I was like, yeah, I got to bring Oz though. And they were like, do you? You can't get somebody to watch him for the night or something? I was like, nah, I got to bring him. So me and Oz. No, I'm just playing.
Dead weight.
Nah, to be honest, this is more of a political type show. So if anything, they probably wanted Oz more than me. But we got asked to be guests on the Unsupervised. So officially on our podcast, since you officially asked on yours, I would like to accept the invitation on behalf of myself and Oz. We'd love to come on the show. So my final blow will be for Unsupervised, the spinoff. Check those guys out. You can find them anywhere you get your podcast, the 5 Live Pods. Definitely check out Showdown Pro Wrestling Pod with myself and JD. Cheap plug. We just did a little fantasy booking of all the free agents that just came out of wrestling. The releases that just came out. So we just fantasy booked where all those people would go and where we think a good fit. So check that out as well. So that's my final blow. Oz, tell everyone we'll talk to them next time.
As usual, good people, peace and chicken grease.
And y'all have a good time because we're going to have a good time until we talk to y'all next time. Peace.
Hit the save button.
Dude, please, dude, just make.
Welcome to the Anything, Everything, and Nothing podcast with Lynn and Kim. Join us as we discuss the latest in everything from entertainment and current events to the craziness that is our real life.
Let's laugh, let's live, let's talk about it. New episode every Tuesday on the Defy Life Podcast Network. And remember, if you're not defying life, then what are you doing? Lynn and Kim.